You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Sewer Domit Sutshier. He's down. Swinging a drive. Right center and deep. Get up! Get out of here! Gone for Fielder! He just hit a walk-off, and this one is over. Oh, what a shot by Fielder. Look out! Here he comes!
The late, great Bob Uecker with the call. One of many famous calls. One of the great baseball radio legends of all time. Passes away at the age of 90 yesterday. Good morning. How are you? It is the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. Thanks for checking us out across the video platform. And, of course, the app at cr1029thegame.com. You can see it right up there. Lots going on today. Huge show. NFL playoff preview. We're going to preview all the games. We've also got a college football playoff finals preview as well with Notre Dame and Ohio State. Legendary broadcaster Bob Uecker, as I said, passing away. We're going to get into that as well. Danielle Collins, for those of you who don't watch tennis, I don't watch a lot of it anymore, but she's become quite the household name. She's really gaining a great reputation in Australia. To that, TNT shenanigans, lots of video, huge show coming up today. Thanks again on the Coastal Sports Network video platform, on all our Facebook pages, on the Coastal Sports Network Facebook page. You can watch the show on my Facebook page in Tampa Joe's, great sports bar up in Tampa Bay area. You can watch on their Facebook page as well, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and always call or text the show, Rumble, 727-858-6650. Man, huge show lined up for you today. Going to have my pigskin picks a little bit early, like at 7:45, because we're jammed today. 8:05, Trevor Harris from WQAM is going to join us for one of his weekly visits. We'll find out what's going on over there with his Dolphins and the Miami Hurricanes. And I just like waking Trevor up early in the morning. Mick Colagio at 8:30. We'll talk a little NHL and Bruins, one of the best NHL insiders in the business. At 9:05, John Meter-Perel, play-by-play voice of BC football and also the ACC network. We will get into the college football playoff championship game coming up on Monday. That's Martin Luther King Day as well. And then Gabe Arenzi at 9:30 a.m. Sports Rage with his picks. Always a good time. That'll be at 9:30 a.m. So, without further ado, we say good morning to the one and only Angel Martinez up yonder there in Tampa, as I am here in Fort Myers. And wherever you are around this great country of ours and around the world, fantastic. I know if you live where I live this morning in Fort Myers, especially on my street, that you were woken at 4:45 a.m. by a bunch of workers who are illegally working and dumping cement at 4:45 in the morning, waking up the entire neighborhood, what I believe you're not supposed to start until 7 o'clock. But as usual, around a lot of these gated communities, the fucking laws are never enforced. But I'm going to start enforcing them myself, as I have in the past. But we digress. Good morning, Angel. How are you? Now I'm up at that time anyway, but it's ridiculous in some that this is allowed. And I know in the state of Florida, you can't. I know in your neighborhood, right? You said 7:30. Here, I believe it's 7 o'clock. You know, it's so obnoxiously rude to come and start dumping cement at 4:45 in the morning, and nobody does anything. Nobody. So now I have to. Once again, I'm Batman. I will take the law into my. I'll be the vigilante.
That's okay.
Anyway,
I've already called Sheriff Puberty Justice. He's going to get on top of it. Him and Smokey. So they're going to get on it. Good morning, Pete. It is 45 lovely degrees here in Tampa, and my friends back home in Philly have woken up between 22 to 27 degrees.
Well, yesterday, yesterday Zolak was on. It was 13 degrees at one point. I mean, it's going to be cold in Philadelphia. It's going to be colder in Buffalo because that's a night game. You guys get at least a 3 o'clock game. You get the 3 o'clock game on Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
and BC. But I want to begin with the passing of Bob Uecker, one of the obviously legendary, absolutely legendary sportscaster for the Milwaukee Brewers. And most people think he was a Cleveland broadcaster. Some of you don't understand baseball, or don't follow it all that well. Think he was the Cleveland Indians broadcaster because he was on Major League, but really. He was an amazing man. Only met him once briefly way back in the day at Fenway. I've been briefly like 30 seconds hello, but just hysterical, a genuine man, never took himself too seriously. He died at the age of 90 last night. And everybody around, anybody who knows anything about baseball knows him. Commissioner Rob Manfred put out a statement. He was born and raised in Milwaukee. He's a beloved member of the baseball community, as you well might imagine, and a pillar of sports in Wisconsin and really in the Midwest. I mean, Bob Uecker is like one of those people you just don't hate, kind of like Dolly Parton, like who hates her,
Right.
But Bob Uecker is so beloved, and the thing about what makes baseball very, very different from all the other sports. Not that there's not great play-by-play men and all the other three major sports, but baseball really was meant for radio. And I'm really old school that way because people who are longtime play-by-play voices, and there are a lot of legendary ones, and forgive me if I'm going to miss. From my days of the Red Sox, we had Kirk Gowdy and Ken Coleman, Joe Castiglione. Bob Murphy, John Sterling, all those guys. Who else? As I said, Johnny Miller, who was with the Red Sox for a little bit, then out in San Francisco. I mean, Vince Scully. There's so many legendary names out there that are connected to baseball. Baseball was made for radio. It really was. I mean, we all watch on TV and everything else. But there's something when you're driving you're driving around your neighborhood, you're driving around. Baseball on the radio was meant. I used to always say, you present a kaleidoscope of erotic images in baseball. It's meant, and there's something very different about baseball and baseball on the radio than all the other sports. You can have great play-by-play guys in hockey, college football, NFL, NBA, all very reputable people, and they did a great job, but it's not the same. You just get a different feeling when you're listening to baseball on the radio. At least I did. It's like becomes part of your family in a way, especially if the voice is there. Maybe not so much now, the way things change all the time, but back in a lot of our days, I mean, that was if you're driving around, you're at the beach in the summertime, baseball on the radio is life. I mean, it just was. How many times being on the beach, and I'm sure wherever Philly fans hang out, the Phillies are on the radio, the Red Sox are on the Yankee. It doesn't matter. You got the game on, and just something special about it. You don't really like go out of your way sometimes to hear hockey, basketball, maybe sometime, maybe more so football. But it's baseball in the summertime. Very, 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 very special. So we're going to play a tribute for Bob Uecker, a couple of funny videos as well. Can never ever forget the funny Miller Lite commercials. But I don't know, Angel, do you feel the same way? For me, baseball is very nostalgic when it comes to being on the radio, and there's more of a personal feeling about it than with the other sports. Do you feel that way?
Oh, it's definitely that way because you got to remember that, a lot of us who are baseball aficionados, if you want to say it even better, is that's what you look forward to. It was either the radio in the living room or the transistor radio that you had. You had mentioned a bunch of times when you had it under your pillow. As a kid, when you loved baseball, that's what it was. And even now, of course, you can listen to it on, like, I think iHeart, some stations, they have it on there and you can kind of listen to the feed, but it's still on a phone. It's not the same as the transistor radio back in the day, but you do end up appreciating and loving the sport a lot when you used to listen to it on radio. And that's exactly what it was meant for, because the play-by-play commentary, the color commentaries, they were the best. I mean, you can get that feeling like no other place in the world, and baseball can do that. Football, yeah, it's a different element, but baseball, just between the comments in between the innings, in between pitches, It's just there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
No, and we got a jam-packed show today of 4 guests. I want to get to some video and some audio with everything going on as much as possible. I want to start, Angela, if we could. It's 3 down. It's Al Michaels telling a hysterical story on the Rich Eisen show back about 5 years ago in 2020 about him doing a game with Howard Cosell, a baseball game, and Bob Uecker. And this is absolutely fantastic. This is just one of many that we're going to have for you, or a few we're going to have for you today before 8 o'clock.
Give me your best Uecker story.
The best Uecker story. Uecker and Cosell and I are doing a game in, I think it was Houston.
Okay.
And Howard, you know the way Howard was. He was, baseball's such a simple game. They make it so complicated. So it's a situation late in the game where Howard is calling for a bunt. Now, when somebody calls for a bunt in a situation where you can't bunt, you know they know nothing about baseball. So Uecker and I, now Howard would be spewing all of this misinformation. And now Uecker's trying to, explain to Howard carefully, why you probably wouldn't bunt in this situation. So it's a little bit, he's chiding him minimally. Cosell says on the air, he says, okay, Uecker, you don't have to be so truculent. You do know what truculent means, don't you? And without hesitating, Uecker says, of course, Howard, if you had a truck and I borrowed it, it would be a truculent. And that is Bob Uecker.
Without skipping a beat?
Without skipping a beat. And the other thing with Uecker is we're doing a game, it's just the two of us are doing a game later that season, and Charlie Finley owns the A's, and he wants to introduce the alert orange baseballs, like the tennis balls. Sure. You can see them. So we start talking about it. The game is terrible, and we're going back and forth. And then Uecker finally says, look, the bottom line is this can never happen. I go, why not? He said, you couldn't find enough diseased horses. So how does the brain work like that?
Oh man, there's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories like that. He's had a lot of wonderful calls, audio, also a lot of wonderful. If we could scroll one up, Angel, too. Did so many Miller Lite commercials. This one was one that only aired in Boston back in 1988. That Bob Uecker was involved in, and he's at Faneuil Hall, but of course he messes up all the names. This is classic Uecker spot in Boston for Miller Lite.
Bastard, I love you. Hey, I know everything about Porktown. My relatives came over on the Sunflower, Yep, landed at Plymouth Dock. I even know Boston's favorite beer, Miller Lite. They love Light here because it's less filling and it tastes great. And that's a taste you can love from the River James to Cape Scrod to right down here at Fanny Hill Market. How you doing, Chief?
In Boston, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
I even know the big shots in town. Ever hear of Flip O'Neill?
Sounds familiar.
Ooh.
Obviously, the former great Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill.
Yep.
Imagine back in the day when he and the president would actually get along. He and Reagan were pretty good friends. I mean, they had their moments, but nevertheless. Imagine that. Imagine the Speaker of the House and the president getting along back in the day.
Yeah.
So, who knew? Who knew? All right, meanwhile, let's scroll up. And, of course, this is the one that the opener for the Cleveland Indians versus the New York Yankees via Major League. This is absolutely hysterical. Just a great job by Bob Uecker and Major League, one of my favorite. I won't even call it a sports movie. It's a sports movie, but it's more like a frolic. But it was, I love it. I would watch this movie 100 times more than I would Field of Dreams, which never, ever did it for me emotionally, which I don't feel badly about it. Just some movies hit you, some don't. Everybody knows, like, especially Peanut Gallery in the other room, how sensitive I can be and tearing up at different situations and movies and everything else. And I don't know why Field of Dreams just never did it for me. Not to deter up in this movie, except to laugh. You're laughing so hard. But here's the opener for here's the one of the scenes in Major League at the end when the Indians take on the Yankees. Bob Uecker.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Doyle bidding you a big wahoo welcome from Municipal Stadium, where tonight, before a capacity crowd of 75,000 screaming featherheads, the Fighting Braves of the Cuyahoga will leave their teepees in search of Cleveland's first league championship in over 30 years. Standing in the way, their longtime nemesis, the New York Yankees. Trying to put the stop on the Yanks will be Eddie Harris, the Tribe's veteran right-hander. Bonnie, anything to add?
No.
He's not the best color man in the league for nothing, folks. All right, we're set to go.
Great stuff. Some of the funniest lines in that movie. There's some absolutely hysterical ones. And you saw the little, as the pitcher was warming up, I forget his character name on the for the Indians, and Jabu was there on the rubber. And if you've never seen Major League, you don't have to be a baseball fan to see Major League. It's absolutely hysterical. Pedro Serrano, a.k.a. President Palmer from 24. It's one of his first roles in that movie. He played the guy from Cuba, and Jabu was his god or his idol, and you didn't mess with Jabu. And in his locker, he had the little tiki statue of him, and smoking a cigar. He goes, "I offer rum and cigar," and it became it was absolutely hysterical how we worshipped this little tiki doll. And then what's his name, the pitcher, comes around one day and he's like, he said, "Do you ever think of taking up Jesus Christ as your savior instead of messing around with all this voodoo stuff?" And Pedro goes, "Jesus, me like him very much, but he no help me hit curveball. Are you trying to tell me Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?" And what's he goes, "Don't start a holy war. Here you go." He goes, "I wouldn't leave." And then he's like, "I wouldn't leave that rum around here with this crew." And he said, "It is very bad to take Jabu's rum. It is very bad." Oh, man, it's just a great movie. And then Euchre was just hysterical in the whole thing. Well, who's our sponsor in the postgame? Say, who the hell cares? No one's listening anyway. Take a swig of Jack Daniels out of the bottle. Just great stuff. I want to play another bit. This is from MLB, Sirius XM MLB Radio. Corbin Burns says Bobby Euchre touched so many people.
Yeah, I'm obviously heard of the news earlier this morning and reached out to his wife, and I did my wife and I knew Judy pretty well, so sent her a text to to offer our condolences. But yeah, Bob was always the light in the clubhouse. He'd walk in and you always see Bob in there, and he was sharing his stories and chatting with the guys. He was pretty much a daily presence in the clubhouse, and so to get that news this morning was obviously tough. But he touched so many people, not only in Milwaukee but around the game of baseball for the 60 plus years that he was in baseball. So he definitely a legend, not only in Milwaukee but for the game of baseball, and he's definitely going to be missed.
Mr. Baseball, as he's affectionately known as, is going to be well missed. Here's him at the his Hall of Fame speech. Hysterical.
Of all the things that I've done, this has always been number one: baseball. The commercials, the films, the television series. I could never wait for everything to get over to get back to baseball. I still, and this is not sour grapes by any means, still think I should have gone in as a player.
Batted like 200.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There it is, boys. The proof is in the pudding. And to all of you baseball fans around America and any place else, for your letters, your thoughts, your kindness for all of these years. It's been a great run, but number one has always been baseball for me. No matter what else I ever did, baseball was the only way I wanted to go. I thank you very much for your attention today, Thank you for having me, and congratulations to everybody here. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Bob Uecker a few years ago at his Hall of Fame speech. Meanwhile, Hall of Fame broadcaster Pat Hughes remembers his longtime radio partner. This from Sirius XM MLB Network.
He did so many things when you think about it, not just 50 years plus on Milwaukee Brewers radio. He did national television games. He had his own network series, Mr. Belvedere. And I remember Robin Yount one day, we were talking about Uecker, and he said, that guy on Belvedere is not Bob Uecker. And he said, that's somebody else. That's an actor playing a role of what they tell him to be. But that was not Bob. Bob was more of a sports guy, more casual, funnier, not as uptight. Bob was just an amazing talent. And boy, you talk about the gift of gab and a quick mind and able to create something funny out of almost anything somebody would say or do. It was just amazing to sit there and listen to him, the way he would react, and with that lightning quick mind of his, turn something around. He would exaggerate something. He would make it outrageous. For example, a guy would sign a contract for $25 million. And he would say, $25 million? Can you believe it? $24 million I can understand, but 25? That's the way he would think. He was just funny about exaggerating things and making things disproportionate in a comedic way. Just a brilliant man.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people would describe Bob Uecker as mischievous, but not in a malicious way, in a way that would make you laugh. And that's how he was. And I remember him on the Johnny Carson show and all that stuff, and on Letterman too. I mean, always. I don't know if the man. I guess everybody has enemies, but man, he'd be one. Has anybody ever said a bad thing about Bob Uecker? I mean. It's like Vince Scully, too. Same thing. You've ever heard a bad story about Vince Scully? It's just certain people that have that charisma about them and that personality. He was one of a kind. Of course, Angel and I are like that, too. No one says a bad word about us either.
That's right.
At least not to our face. Couple more calls here. Speaking, he mentioned Robin Yount, and here is Uke's great call of Robin Yount's 3,000th career hit, thanks to MLB.
Back in against Mesa, who is working from the windup. The 0-1 pitch. Swings, and there it is! A base hit into right center. He's done it. 3,000 for Robin.
That's just one call. We'll do one more call here, and then we'll get into some NFL stuff. But here is Brewers defeat the Tigers to head to face the Yankees in the American League Eastern Division Championship.
The arm is back. Here he comes. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Goodbye, Detroit. Hello, New York. Hi, Raleigh Fingers. What a job he is being mobbed by his teammates as the Brewers have come from behind today to beat Detroit by a score of 2-1. Oh, what a victory today for this Milwaukee Brewer Ball Club. And Milwaukee will face New York for the American League Eastern Division Championship.
Yes, that was fantastic. And last one, Lorenzo Cain on Bob Uecker, always being a joy to be around again from Sirius XM MLB Network.
Yeah, like you said, Uecker will always be an icon, like I said, amazing person. It's, very sad news to hear this. But just being around Uecker, like you said, he would sit in the clubhouse and just laugh and joke with us. And, he was a great storyteller, to say the least. And, I would try to tell one, but I'll probably butcher it. But, always a great storyteller and just a joy to be around, man. And I just most importantly remember all the times he was just so kind to my kids. So, like I said, a joy to be around, and he would be truly missed for sure.
Again, longtime voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, passes away yesterday at the age of 90. He will be missed by everybody, not only in the sports world, but especially in the baseball community. So Rest in peace, Bob Uecker. You are one of a kind, and you will live on forever. There's no question about it. One of the legendary voices in all of sports, and one of the funniest men on the planet. All right.
Sure. By the way, Jerry from Rhode Island says, "Good morning, guys. Euchre's best line for me was just a bit outside."
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's so many Yuki-isms out there, and just a bit outside. Of course, that's when Charlie Sheen hit the, hit the mask, threw it 99 miles an hour way over to the right, and it was way, way outside. But when you hear that, how many times do you watch a major league game and go just a bit outside? I mean, everybody has a couple of those lines. Absolutely.
The best part with that too, then he follows up with ball 4, ball 8, ball 12.
Ball 12, ball 16. Oh my goodness. All right, let's get to some NFL preview stuff. I want to get to as much as I can. I got to have my pigskin picks at 7:45, but I do want to say right out of the gate, thanks for Total Sports Prep. They put together a tremendous package. There's like 30 other cuts I could have played, but we don't have time today. For the best articles and audio, there's only one source that provides everything you need, 365 days a year to satisfy your sports crave. It's Total Sports Prep. The staff combing through the best articles and audio so you don't have to. Sports and non-sports kicker stories will leave you laughing all day long. To get your free trial of Total Sports Prep, contact them. info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. That's info@sportsbroadcastingcoach.com. Total Sports Prep. The name says it all. All right, we're going to try to get to some funny videos. We're going to try to get to as much as we can about preview all these NFL playoff games. A couple of cuts for each game ought to do it. You get the gist. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend. I hope the games live up to expectations and are better overall. Besides the Washington-Tampa Bay game, really has not been a lot of exciting NFL action. It begins 4:30 on CBS with Houston at Kansas City. So I'll give you a couple of cuts from that one. Let's start with Patrick Mahomes here on staying mentally prepared since he hasn't played in nearly 3 weeks.
It's been 3 weeks since the Pittsburgh game today. Did you do anything out of the ordinary to stay sharp during this time?
Nothing that I would not normally do, I guess would be the best way to say it. I just kind of continue to work as far as working in the building, working at practice like I usually do. Obviously, the reps are a little bit different, but at the same time, you can get mental reps and you can get physical reps on the side. And so continue to work with those guys that weren't playing that last Denver game and then preparing your body to go out there and execute in the playoffs.
All right. Meanwhile, let's see. Here is Houston's head coach, DeMeco Ryans, on actually, you know what? Let's go to C.J. Stroud on using his legs.
Yeah, he's been talking to me about that for a long time. And I feel like I've been able to kind of do that this year. Throughout the year, I think I ran for like 60 yards against the Jets. It was like probably my career high, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, it's not something I've ever been opposed of. It's just I think I'm elite at throwing the ball in the pocket, but I have been able to extend plays this year, and I think that's a good thing for us. And when it's need be, it's not something that I'm just looking for all the time, but definitely is something that I think could help us get an edge on the team. And yeah, I'm more than able and more than capable, and yeah.
Meanwhile, Kansas City head coach Andy Reid on his favorite thing about this time of year.
What's your favorite part about this time of year? In the prep and all that?
Yeah, I think, you start limited. You're one of the few standing, first of all. And so the preparation, you've got to really take care of business there. The error margin is tiny. And so you got to make sure that you play well, coach well, the whole works, which is great. We're in this to challenge ourselves. No better time than now.
Again, that's 8 o'clock on Fox, or I should say 4:30 on CBS. Tomorrow, Houston at Kansas City, and then Washington at Detroit coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll preview that in a second. Mike says, do you think Mike Vrabel can turn it around for the Patriots? No, they need help on several areas of the team. Well, yeah, we've addressed this all week, Mike, no question about it. But Vrabel has a presence about him. He's going to have his thumbprint on this entire team. They are going to turn it around. Their schedule on paper anyway is very easy, and people are going to, especially the home schedule, looks to be enough for them to get to 8 games, whether that's realistic or not. And who knows if things can turn around. And they do need help. Obviously, they need help at offensive line. They need a number 1 wide receiver. They need help at linebacker. They need help at defensive back. So, yeah, there's a lot of help. But they got the 4th overall pick, and they have $133.5 million under the cap. So, can't mess this draft up. Not that you're going to hit on everybody, but you can't mess up the early rounds of this draft up. And you got to spend the money, and you got to spend the money in the right places. Again, it's about getting the right, not necessarily the best players, but the right ones. And also a place now where I think free agents once again will want to come and be a destination, despite the millionaire tax in Massachusetts and all that stuff. But you have a guy like Vrabel there, and you have your quarterback in Drake May. I think it'll be attractive to some free agents. So yes, I think he absolutely will turn that entire organization around. All right, Washington at Detroit coming up. Let's see. Here's Dan Quinn. Now, there's going to be the over-under in this game for punts. I can't wait to talk to. I mean, these two teams are like 1 and 3 as far as number 1 and number 3 as far as going for it on 4th downs. There's never punts. I think there won't be a lot of punts in this game either. Dan Quinn not afraid to go for it on 4th down.
Like that's what we stand for. Like we stand for competing, and if there's an edge to gain and a margin to do it, like it doesn't matter till it does, bro. And so you never know when that moment. God, if we'd only done that, if we'd only gone for it. I never want to look back and say, man, I wish I'd gone for it. Like I hope that's my legacy one day, long down the road, to say, man, that dude went for it. And I hope our team plays that way. The energy we play with, like that's who we are, man. So I don't ever want to back off of that.
Yeah, it's and the Lions are number 1. Washington's like number 3. They all go for it. It's crazy. Also, you had you had Dan Quinn not only talking about going on 4th down, I'm facing the Lions after their bye week.
I know you've preached consistency through the season, but from the coaching side, when you're playing a team off extra rest, do you get into how does that change, I guess, the way that you guys prepare for this game, knowing that they might throw some different looks at you and different things that they haven't necessarily done in the regular season?
No different from our end. And like just in terms of the what ifs, you don't go there. They've got a huge playbook. So for us to, draw some stuff up in the dirt and say this might happen, like no way, no can do. And so there's plenty of stuff that they have that we've got to really be rock solid and ready. Like run game's excellent. The play back pass that goes off of that is excellent. So the matchups that we have to dig into. So more than anything, our consistency does come down to us. It's that communication to go, and communication is big. All the shifts and motions they have, the crowd noise. It's an absolutely fantastic, place. It'll be lit, and so.
All right.
Those are the things that we have to put our time and attention on. The things that we can control.
All right. Here's Washington quarterback Jaden Daniels on winning the last 5 games on the final play.
Coach said he loves the last 6 games. This is why you coach, is to be in those situations where you can pull it out. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you. What's it like for the quarterback of this team when you're in it to win it at the last minute?
I mean, it's like kind of what he says, what you live for. It's what you kind of play the sport for. To when it's time to go out there and make plays, you're going to see who rises to the occasion and make plays. So, we kind of thrive there. Obviously, we would rather go out there and win by 20. But when those situations come up, that's what DQ and them preach so much, and they teach us about situational football, so we're always prepared for those moments.
All right, and finally, before we go to break, Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, one of the hottest names out there to be coaching in several different places, and I'm sure he will get a head coaching job. He talks about the team preparing for the moment.
I don't think anybody in that room, myself included, has forgot that feeling of flying back on that airplane from San Francisco. And so we've been all year long extremely detailed, extremely locked in, and to see it go up another level here this week, it's been really impressive. So our guys know this is exactly what we've been working so hard over the course of the spring, summer, over the course of the season, and so now we're ready to go.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will preview the Rams at the Philadelphia Eagles coming up on Sundays and Sunday matchups early at 3 o'clock and at 6:30, the one everybody's been waiting for, Baltimore at Buffalo. We will preview both of those games, plus get to some TNT shenanigans, my pigskin picks, and a lot more. Huge show coming up today, 8 o'clock, 8:05. Trevor Harris from WQAM in Miami will join me. Mick Colagio talks NHL at the bottom of next hour at 8:30. John Meter-Perrell at 9. 9:05. We'll break down the college football playoff championship. And Gabe Morency, Sports Rage with his picks at 9:30. All part of a Freaky Friday football mostly edition here of the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey. Why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
We know that everyone's going to account for that, and that's not new to us. Again, they'll see stuff on tape that they'll want to do differently and that they'll want to repeat, and we'll see stuff on tape that we'll want to do differently and we'll want to repeat. I know that'll be a big film that they watch. It's obviously a big film that we'll watch, It's not uncommon, right? We know that we're going to get people's best effort to stop Saquon, and that's just been what we've dealt with all year.
Some good insight there from head coach Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles on how the Rams are going to try to stop Saquon Barkley. It's good that both teams be watching film on one of the best running backs in the league and MVP candidate, even though he won't win.
Wait. Did he just pull out his inner Mike Daniels? I swore that was Mike Daniels that you had brought up. That's why I thought
Mike McDaniel? Yeah, Mike McDaniel. There's something to that. There's something to that.
Listen to it. I thought you were trying to fool me with the music.
No. All right, I'll play the cut for you. I'll play the cut for you again. There's Nick Sirianni on the Rams trying to stop Saquon Barkley.
We know that everyone's going to account for that, and that's not new to us. Again, they'll see stuff on tape that they'll want to do differently and that they'll want to repeat, and we'll see stuff on tape that we'll want to do differently and we'll want to repeat. I know that'll be a big film that they watch. It's obviously a big film that we'll watch, it's not uncommon, right? We know that we're going to get people's best effort to stop Saquon, and that's just been what we've dealt with all year.
It's more from Nick Sirianni on the Rams' defensive improvements.
They anytime you played a team as long ago as we played them, there's going to be things that have changed. And there definitely is. They do a couple different things on defense, making it hard on you, making it challenging on you to predict what's coming. But Chris Shula's done a really good job coaching the defense, and again, they got really good, really good players, and especially on that defensive line. It's a good front that's playing really good football right now. To say they've, exactly what they're changing, I'm not going to kind of get into that, but they obviously have some changes, just like we have some changes since last time we played them.
What was your message to the team this week?
Talked about again the consistency of what's important, and our tough, detailed together is always going to be important. And then also we talked a little bit about embracing adversity in playoffs, in playoff football. And just in the NFL in general, there's going to be plays that when you're in a game that they're going to make, and even with your best efforts, they still could make the play. So how do you play the next play mentality? And again, that's something that we've focused on a lot all year is next play mentality. And that's really, we're saying this week, embrace the adversity, and that's really another way of saying, hey, play the next play.
Okay. Thoughts, Angel?
There is no thoughts. I'm dumbfounded. This is why I said I am not
coming above your head. I see the little bubble that it just has like the number sign, exclamation point, stuff that, little curses going on in your head. I see it. If you were a cartoon in a frame, I'd see the little bubble. But they're still going to win. I'll have my picks coming up in a second. Jalen Hurts on the team's attempting to stop Saquon Barkley.
How, do you feel the answers as far as accounting for that? How you guys are able to adjust, in game, mid game, and everything to account for that?
Yeah, I don't think kind of loaded a little bit. I don't think that there's been a game where he's been taken away.
Right, but they try to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They try, He's a great player, and I think we complement each other well. And he's been able to just get dirty yards, and soon enough he pops one off. And so that's been a big part of our success this year as a team, and that's a credit to everyone playing a role in that. Blocking out wide, holding backside players, off of a fake, a down block or a pull, or the identification up front, and everyone being on the same page. It's a collective effort.
Do you expect a lot of blitz this week? They've had success this last game. Do you expect a lot? Do you welcome it?
We'll see.
You should.
We'll see. I don't know really what they're going to do. It's a great team. I think even Green Bay kind of did some different things that we were not expecting as an offensive unit. And so, it's the playoffs. Got to be ready for everything.
Playoffs? Yeah, you got to be ready for everything. Like I said, Kellen Moore and company, they better get these receivers open, and I believe they will. See, everybody's going to think that the Rams are going to be able to do what the Packers did last week, and A.J. Brown's going to only have one catch despite his reading assignment. I think A.J. Brown's going to have a good game. I think the symmetry is going to be back. I think maybe he won't get 100 yards, but I will bet you dollars to donuts that A.J. Brown has at least one touchdown in this game. I'm calling it right now. Here is a Sean McVay on the big focus. Can you tell is how to stop Saquon Barkley?
First game was that just, tremendous individual effort, or did you guys have breakdowns? I mean, when you look at that, what was the...
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to give them credit. I mean, they did an excellent job. And then there were some things where we certainly could have put our guys in some better spots. And then there were some things where we misfit some runs. And then, the last one that he broke out, we were in a zero blitz and he broke through the line of scrimmage and there's no one left and he's got the speed to finish. That's the thing that makes Saquon so special. He's patient. He hits you for a couple of those runs. But if he gets clean to the second and third levels, he's such a slash runner and he's got the speed to finish. That's why he's such a dynamic player. So I think our sense of urgency will be appropriate for the task at hand this week. And we love it and we're looking forward to it, but we got a ton of respect for this group.
Without getting too much into the weeds, for a fan or, someone who looks at how you guys made adjustments to, really pass rush the Vikings and how that was such a big difference. Are there similar kinds of adjustments, dramatic kinds of things that you can do to control a running back, to stop a running back like Barkley?
Yeah, that's a good question, Gary. It's a little bit different because of the way that blocking surface can really unfold and, dependent upon how many people they commit to the surface, where are people in force positions to be able to block certain things. A lot of those pass rush things, you kind of understand how many people are committed to the protection. What are some of the rules based on the regularity at which you're activating a drop back system? And so because there's a little bit more run versatility, not quite to that level, but there are ways that you have to be able to change up looks, because if they get a beat on what you're doing and you just sit in the same front structures, they will pound you and they will embarrass you. And so we'll have to do a great job, and that'll certainly be a major part of our focus and concentration.
All right, finally, before we get to our pigskin picks, let's get to Buffalo and Baltimore. This will be at 6:30 on CBS Sunday night, and this should be, everybody's hoping it's going to be like one of the games of the year. I hope it lives up to the billing, no question about it. Here's Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. I'm playing against the Ravens this weekend.
Do you think this team is more capable of handling whatever is thrown at it?
I feel like we've grown quite a bit since that game. Obviously learned a lot from those moments. Going back and watching it, obviously wasn't our best effort. Felt like we didn't play our best football. But again, they got a really good team too. That they're playing this week for a reason. Their defense the last really 8 to 10 weeks has been superb. Their offense is fantastic as well. They got a lot of studs over there, led by Lamar obviously, and it's a tough team to play regardless.
All right. Meanwhile, a big issue is going to be the weather in Buffalo, where it's going to be like absolutely freezing at 6:30 on Sunday, well below freezing. It's going to feel well below freezing, which is 32 degrees to you and me. Coming up on a Sunday night, Lamar Jackson talked about cold weather preparation.
Hopefully we have some heaters on the sideline, bigger jacket, probably. I got to talk to Kaneko to see what he got going on, equipment guys. They pretty much do a great job, though, so we should be good.
But you don't do gloves under any circumstances.
No. I tried it in practice. I was horrible. Leave that up to Teddy, two gloves, Teddy Bridgewater.
Shout out to Teddy. Aside, it seems like you do handle the cold weather pretty well. I mean, being a Florida guy and everything.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to win, so it really don't matter. I can't go into a game and be like, man, it's too cold. I can't make things happen. Coach them probably send me home. Eric, them be probably trying to come, have me go upstairs and talk to him and stuff, so I got to lock in the cold.
For the record, kickoff temperature is 18 degrees as of now. But with the wind, it's going to feel like 0. probably around that, and maybe even worse as the game progresses. John Harbaugh also talking about, head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, talking about prepping in the frigid weather.
You know, we got it as cold as we can in here right now, and it'll be colder in here tomorrow when I get all the water shut off in here so the pipes don't freeze. So we'll even be colder, so we'll have it cold. Love to be outside, but we just can't. The fields are too hard and they're too frozen, but we'll get to work in. We've had a lot of work in the cold. We've got a lot of work in the wind, and the elements are part of it, you know, and the other thing is going to be the footing on their field. We're thinking about that too. We want to make sure we've got good footing on that field. It's a turf field, and it'll be hard and kind of frozen, so we're trying to think about all that, but really what we're thinking about is just executing our plays at the highest level we possibly can.
All right, there's a little preview of all 4 games. I'd love to be able to do a lot more. We will do a lot more, but we have a huge show lined up for you today with 4 guests starting at 8:05. So now, without any further ado, Angel, it is time for my Pigskin Picks. Kind of short and sweet. 5 games total. 5 games total. 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, plus the national championship, the college football playoff national championship on Monday, which we will get to. All right, let's start. 4:30 on CBS tomorrow. The Houston Texans are 8.5-point dogs. The total is 41.5 on the road at KC. Now, for this segment, I am going to give what I think is the winner against the spread and the total, as always. We pick against the spread here. So, Kansas City doesn't beat anybody by a lot of points. It doesn't seem that way. And a lot of people are talking about C.J. Stroud and company and this Houston team, dangerous team. Now, I remember a few years ago, the Houston Texans went into Kansas City, Angel. You might remember in the, I believe in the AFC Championship game. Well, I'm sorry, the divisional round. Went up 24-0. The Houston Texans did, up 24-0. Final score, Kansas City 51, Houston 31. But that can't happen again. But with all that being said, I am going with the Houston Texans plus 8.5. Not that Kansas City won't win the game. They just don't beat a lot of teams. They don't cover a lot of games by, it's really going to be 9 or 10 points. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Houston hangs around, even if it's a backdoor cover. So I will take the Houston Texans plus 8.5 at Kansas City. I'm also going to take the over in this game. A lot of people are probably going to jump on the under. I'm not. This is very similar to what Gabe was talking about last week. A couple of situations with Houston and Houston and the Chargers. And he's like, everybody's going under. I'm going over. I was with him. So I'm going to take the over in this game as well. So Houston plus 8.5. That's my main pick. And then I like the total to go over 41.5. Next up, on Saturday night, 8 o'clock on Fox, the Washington Commanders, 9.5-point dogs on the road at Detroit. Well, I've played in a couple weeks. They're the number 1 seed with the bye. Something about this Washington Commander team. I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. There will not be many punts in this game. These guys go for it on 4th down. Both Stan Campbell and Quinn go for it on 4th down every single time, basically. So I think the over-under of punts in this game is going to be like 2. But I am going to take the Washington Commanders to hang around and cover the 9.5. And the total of 55.5, I think, goes over the total. But I think the Washington Commanders at plus 9.5 are going to absolutely hang around with Detroit, provided Jaden Daniels, and we're past being a rookie now, he knows how to play in close and tight situations. He's been very good. He's won the last 5 or 6 on the last play. As long as he doesn't become a rookie again and gets in his head and throws a couple of early picks and Detroit jumps out to a lead, not that Washington can't come back. And I don't think that's going to happen. But if he stays within himself, as we say all the time, I think the Commanders can hang around at plus 9.5 against Detroit, and I like the game to go over 55.5. Next! At 3 o'clock on Sunday on NBC, the L.A. Rams are 6-point dogs on the road at the Link against Philadelphia. The total is 44. I think the Rams did not look as good as it showed last week against Minnesota. I'm not taking anything away from them. I guess maybe I am. 9 sacks against Sam. I'm seeing Ghost and Goblins Darnold. Great. That ain't going to happen this weekend. They bring the blitz this time, and they're probably going too early to try to stop Saquon Barkley. But this is where Jalen Hurts can get you. And this is why I think A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are going to reconnect this week, despite any reading assignments that happened on the sideline. Very similar to what happened a few weeks ago. A.J. Brown gets close to 100 yards and at least a touchdown in this game. And Philadelphia may be ugly at times, but they will find a way to win by at least a touchdown. So I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles. -6 at home. The total goes over 44 as well. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to say the total goes under 44. Under 44. So the Eagles at -6 and the total under 44. I don't think the Rams are going to be able to do anything close to what they did to the Minnesota Vikings. So Eagles -6 and the total under 44. That's my play. And then the big one at 6:30 on CBS on Sunday night. Baltimore is still a 1-point favorite right now on the road in Buffalo, where the game time temperature will be 18 degrees, probably a lot less than that with the wind when factored in. Baltimore -1 at Buffalo. I think Derrick Henry makes all the difference in the world. Buffalo is obviously a very, very tough place to play. I'm not just saying it because my Super Bowl prediction at the beginning of the year was Baltimore and Detroit. But I am going with the Ravens because of King Henry being on that team. And he had his way with them last time. Not that I care about what happened in the regular season. Same thing with Philadelphia and the Rams. Philly beat them in the regular season too. And Barkley had a real good game. Derrick Henry had a real good game when they played in the regular season against Baltimore. The big story is going to be Lamar Jackson. Can he stay within himself? I think he will. Now, Zay Flowers, it looks like is out, is not going to play. So that's a big-time offensive weapon right there. But I still think there's going to be points put up in this game. And I think the Ravens are going to find a way to win a high-scoring game. I'm taking the Ravens -1 at Buffalo, where the wagons, like Chris Berman says, are circling. They'll continue to circle maybe. But Baltimore breaks the heart of the Buffalo Bills fans again. And the total of 51.5, I think, goes over the total. So Baltimore -1, over 51.5. That's my play. And finally, coming up on Martin Luther King Day, on Monday, 7:30 on ESPN, the Ohio State Buckeyes against Notre Dame. The total is 46. I'm all over Ohio State in this one. I think they're going to win the game by 10 to 14 points. I just think they're playing out of their minds right now. Ever since I saw their first half against Tennessee, I got this is going to be a tough team to beat. I think losing to Michigan was the best/worst thing that ever happened to them because it galvanized this team. They have looked unstoppable. And Notre Dame, I don't think, unless Ohio State shoots themselves in the foot, is going to they're going to lose this game by 10 to 14 points. The total is 46. I'm taking Ohio State and the over in this game. So to recap, I like Houston +8.5, over 41.5 at Kansas City. I like Washington +9.5, over 55.5 at Detroit. I like the Philadelphia Eagles -6 and under 44 at the Link. And I like Baltimore -1 at Buffalo, the total 51.5. I like over. And I like Ohio State -8 and over 46 against Notre Dame. There are your pigskin picks. Quick break again coming up. It'll be Trevor Harris from WQAM coming up right after the break. We'll have some, while he's on, we'll have a couple of videos from some TNT shenanigans that happened last night. So we'll get young Trevor's thoughts on, the NFL playoffs this weekend and what is going on the East Coast of Florida, what the buzz is all about. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show here, coming up on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family. If it's dysfunctional.
Tired, you can get $10 million. Where's my $10 million?
Right. Shoot. You need 40.
I want to see this in this ring, bro.
Like, this NIL market just seems like a reset to everything.
I'll play the full cut. It sounds better. Trevor Hunter is dismayed that he can't get $10 million like Carson Beck is going to get it to you. Welcome back. It's hour number 2. When you hear Rock Me Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions, you know it's that time. It's Trevor Harris. It's either him or Joe Zagacki. Today
I think it's more for Joe Zagacki because he's been covering the Canes longer than me. So I will give that song to Joe Zagacki all day. Any day of the week.
Absolutely. But welcome, Trevor Harris, down there yonder across Alligator Alley. And The 954, right? Not the 305.
954. I'm a Broward guy.
He doesn't want to be associated with the 305. But anyway, welcome, Trevor Harris from WQAM. How are you today? Good morning, and a little chilly out there as well. 55 here. It's a little chillier up in Tampa. What's it like over there? I'm assuming in the 50s.
It's 63 right now, actually.
Really?
I will take that any day of the week.
Snot rags on the East Coast.
I will take that. If it goes down to 55, I'm cool with that anyways. I'll just wear a nice crew neck sweatshirt and people think I'm crazy. I'm not wearing no parka, I'll say that for sure. I'm not wearing the North Face jacket yet or anything like that. The people down here, like, if it gets down to 50, below 50, that's when you see all the North Face jackets. That's when I start making fun of everybody. So that's why.
Angel, I want to play this video if we can. If we scroll down, it's under Dove Climbing. I started to play it, but didn't sound good under the music. And it's about Travis Hunter. Holy shit! Travis Hunter goes off after Carson Beck is getting $10 million in nil earnings, and we'll start with this. It's down a little bit. You'll see under Dove Climbing. Okay, that's it. So we'll check this out. I don't know if you saw this yet, Trevor.
I have not seen this. I wait for all this stuff. I've not seen it for the Pete Sheppard show only.
That's good. This is
live.
I know podcast. I know whose podcast this is, but it's funny. Yep, I got you.
How do you get $10 million? Where's my $10 million?
Right. Shoot. You need 40.
How's all these people getting this much money, bro?
Like this NIL market seems like it resets every 4 months.
Hold on, let me go test it out, bro. I'm finna go test it out, bro. Let me go back to college. I'm going back to college, bro. Let me see if I can get me $100 million.
Want to see what your NIL value is?
Yeah, let me see my NIL value, bro. Let me see if I can go back and win another Heisman, and because $10 million, I ain't make that in college.
Right. let me negotiate. Let me go get on the phone. I don't want to hit them. See what they say.
Yeah, let me go hit the porter right quick, bro. $10 million, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not accurate. I know that, but still, bro.
It is accurate.
$10 million, bro. If I made $10 million, if I made $10 million in college, boy. Travis have a yacht.
$10 million for Carson Beck. Hey, man. Get your money, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Get your money, man.
Yeah. I'm happy.
Rick George. Well, yeah, Rick George. Rick George, come on, man. Answer the call, man. Bring him back.
Bro, $10 million? Bro, that's a lot of money.
Manyan.
No doubt.
I saved my money and they ain't even got $10 million in my bank account.
No taxes in Florida either.
No, yeah. This is what I'm going to say, since I just heard that.
Yeah.
This is what you get when you go to a real college football university, not a university that did not give a bleep about football for almost 2 decades and stuff. Yeah, Colorado was cool. You would have got at least because of Deion, pretty much. You would at least gotten $10 million or more if you went to USC, Tennessee, University of Texas, Miami, maybe Florida State if you went back. Florida too, because they need players too. Georgia would at least give you 20.
Now, normally I know what you're saying, and I'm thinking the same thing. You can't make that kind of money at University of Colorado. Yeah. But as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, the number one basketball player in the country, the kid out of Brockton, Mass, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Massachusetts 3 years ago. The last 2 years, his junior year, he went to a prep school in California, and then his senior year, he goes to a Utah prep school, and then ends up at BYU for over $7 million a year because Danny Ainge got involved in the Mormon church, and they're not came up with a whole bunch of money to get that guy there. So, I mean, if there's serious boosters, I think there can be serious boosters in any state and any conference, depending on what. But apparently in Colorado, they don't, they're not going to put out that kind of money, and especially if Deion goes against his word and leaves for the Dallas Cowboys.
Which I am writing it down. Just mark the tape already. He's going to the Cowboy job. Just Angel, mark the tape. Deion Sanders will be the next head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's gonna be crazy like it's 1995 again. Anyways,
I don't disagree with you. Like I said, I think it's going to be fascinating to see if he sticks to his word. So he's already going to have broken his word about Colorado. Now I get it. Mike McCarthy was still the head coach when he said all that, and who knew if Mike McCarthy was? He didn't know, and Jerry Jones screwed him over and his organization over because he waited so long. But nevertheless, Deion said emphatically that he would never leave. He wants to manipulate the system as far as where Shedeur Sanders goes, which right now looks like it's going to be Cleveland because Cam Ward, from my understanding, Tennessee is pretty high on him.
Yes.
The next pick would be Shedeur Sanders to Cleveland. Now, what about him saying, if he goes to become the next head coach of Dallas, how's he going to manipulate that and get Shedeur Sanders there? Who's going to trade? Is they going to trade Dak Prescott? No, they're not trading Dak Prescott. No. And if they could, who's going to take that contract anyway? So Deshaun Watson's out. It makes all the sense of the world. Shedeur Sanders can go to Cleveland, probably start day one next year if he stays reasonably healthy. But I agree with you. How's he going to? There's a lot for Deion. He's going to be splaining, and it'll blow up in his face with Jerry Jones. Not initially. It'll be all hugs and kisses and sherry and giggles for a long time, for a few months anyway. And then when the shit starts to hit the fan and Jerry Jones realizes Deion isn't the guy, Jerry has never been able to not be the guy. He got rid of Jimmy Johnson. I went through the
head coaches.
Bill Parcells, he got rid of him, and then he had Wade Phillips, who had 12 Pro Bowlers on the team a few years ago, not too long ago, had a 13-win season. Didn't get along with him. He got fired, and then you had Jason Garrett there waiting in the background. Wow, what did he do? And then, of course, you went up with Mike McCarthy. So the puppets will be, if it's not Deion Sanders, it'll be Kellen Moore or Jason Witten. I still think I'm going Deion. I think you're. I'll go Deion 60-40. I'm not going to totally let Jason Witten and Kellen Moore off the hook yet, Trevor, because there's a chance maybe Deion stays true to his word. But the fact that he went back on it and said to Adam Schefter on the halftime of the Rams-Minnesota game the other night when Schefter gave him a call, and basically he gave the Jeff Spicoli answer of, if he's going to stay in Colorado, come to Dallas, I don't know.
I know
He
one
never
thing.
said I don't know until then.
One thing was I've been listening to the Dallas station and radio, see what the heck's been going on.
Yeah.
I had to do cliff notes for the Bobby Bell had to do went off on the McCarthy era. I am not.
Who went off in the McCarthy era?
Bobby Bell. He Bobby Bell. He's the Cowboy Insider. They have.
Oh yeah.
I listened to it. I literally wrote maybe 10 things. They said Amari Cooper was a mole and stuff. They were talking about there's natural tension between Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy. He didn't like Mike McCarthy. Didn't like how Dan Quinn could be the head. Anyone could be the head coach, especially Dan Quinn. He's a natural leader and stuff. That got McCarthy mad. The players thought this Rod Davis guy was considered a mole to the players, and
wow,
it was a gong show. I like to say, Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy hated each other because of Kellen Moore wanted offensive control and Dak was there and stuff. It was wild. I'll say that for sure. There was bickering on both sides. Doesn't matter if it's Joe Philbin, Kellen Moore, or Mike McCarthy. I'll say that for sure. So I like to say this. I kind of want Kellen Moore's bleep you, Dallas, but I have a feeling he's going to be named that next Dallas head coach. I'm going to be really bad about anyways.
Well, yeah, because you've already predicted. You guaranteed it. Charles Barkley guarantee that Deion Sanders would be the. I think it's about 60-40 right now, but I still think the puppets might overshadow. I mean, for Jerry Jones, he'd have to. He wouldn't be the guy anymore. It would be all about Deion. It would not be about Jerry Jones. And I still don't think, even though they're going to hug and kiss early on and make everything hunky-dory at the press conference, if he should be named, eventually Jerry Jones can't let go of his own ego. Maybe Deion says, fuck it, I don't care. I don't care. I'll deal with him in my own way.
I think Deion would be like this. You do the radio. I'm going to go focus on football maybe,
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Again, no head coaching experience in the NFL.
No.
Pretty successful in college, obviously, but it's a big difference coaching in the NFL.
He did really well with Colorado. He also made
Jackson State. He did
well. He made the HBCUs relevant and stuff, especially Jackson State, because they haven't had anything once since Walter Payton. So that was cool, at least. So I was like, okay, Deion. I kind of want him to go to the SEC and see what he could do against the big boys. Like I just want him to be the Auburn head coach. I think it'll be perfect anyways. Been very on brand anyways, or Tennessee, but that's not going to happen. So if it's the Cowboys, sweet. I'm excited. I give another reason to hate the. I have 21 more reasons to hate the Dallas Cowboys than I like to say.
It's almost 45 minutes old, but a little bit of anyway. Breaking news, somewhat.
I love the music.
Yeah, that's the trouble alert from the old Super Friends in the 70s. You weren't born yet, not even close.
I wasn't even thought yet. I was like to say my dad's.
You weren't even an itch in your daddy's pants, as they said in Lethal Weapon. The Miami Dolphins are headed to Madrid next year. As part of the NFL's International Series. It'll be the league's first ever game in the city. You're going, by the way, Trev. With Miami listed as the home team, the opponent will be announced this offseason. So Miami Dolphins, Angel, on Madrid.
Here's the opponents they have for next year. They have the Saints, the Bengals, the Buccaneers, the Chargers, Washington, and Buffalo. They have
New England, obviously, and
New England, the Jets. And
I hope it's New England. That'd be kind of fun.
I'll give you a sexy matchup. Ooh. Cincinnati versus Miami, Madrid.
Yeah.
I think that's the game. When
Is
you
it
look at
sexy enough for the NFL? I mean, obviously, look, Cincinnati's. They don't lose to the Patriots in the playoffs in the first game of the season.
They wouldn't if they didn't lose the Patriots. If they didn't have a moron head coach, they would at least made the Patriots. If they made their kicks against the Chargers too on Sunday Night Football, that's another one too.
Oh yeah, there's plenty to go around. But yeah, the Miami Dolphins are headed to Madrid next year. Don't know who they're going to play. It's the league's first ever game in that city, and Miami is listed as the home team.
I think it'll be the Bengals game or the Saints. It depends the party atmosphere. The last time they did Dolphins Rovers,
but you're overlooking one team.
The Patriots.
Should they win the Super Bowl?
Oh, the Kansas City Chiefs,
the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo. They would. The thing is, if that happened, if that happened, the local Buffalo Bills fans down here in South Florida, will throw a riot in the parking lot of Hard Rock Stadium immediately.
No, but that would be. Can you imagine the invade? Can you imagine Bills Mafia in Madrid?
I would love that, honestly. I would love
the tables and everything else, and like, who are these hooligans? And all that stuff.
What's the Madrid airline? Will they be able to check folding tables on the plane ride over to Madrid? Will they make the connection? Will the tables make the connection to Madrid? Is the better question.
Yeah, that's really something. But anyway, who knows? Who knows? Maybe they take you along on the for the ride. Trevor. They did an on-site producer in Madrid, right? You'd welcome that.
Yeah, if Joe Rosen needs an on-site producer or a spotter that could do that, I'll be the spotter for Jimmy and Joe. Anyways, I'll be down for that. It's that entertainment. I like to say. just give me a gray polo. I'll be good to go. Be neutral in Sweden.
What's the buzz been like around there with Jimmy Butler? I mean, just absolutely unbelievable. And the fact that I've said, it's kind of a bad analogy, but when you hold a gun to Pat Riley's head, you're going to lose.
Oh, yes.
Now, I have my theory out of the box is get his agent and Tyreek's Hill agent together, and they can trade both of them away, far, far away to the left coast. And they can both be unhappy and miserable over there. But it's going to be interesting to see what's the buzz over there. Will Pat Riley actually cave because Jimmy Butler's suspension ended last night?
Yes,
ended yesterday. But is Pat Riley going to cave and adhere to Jimmy Butler's wishes? And with other teams knowing this,
what I've been told,
you get 10 cents on the dollar.
What I've heard is there's a big, Pat Riley has a big book, either 7-page or 15-page article and video evidence. I want this thing to go down in court with the NBA with Adam Silver. I'm here for the entertainment. I know the Miami fans hated when I said that once because I'm not from here and I just want to see content and stuff, and I just want to see their team just go down. So I kind of want Jimmy Butler to win, but I know Pat Riley's going to win anyways. So I just want to see the build up and just have this go down in court anyways, and I just want entertainment. If you follow.
Absolutely. That's why I want Dion to come to the Dallas Cowboys.
I just want to see chaos between Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler. How Pat Riley's ways of his culture that you've been talking about, how it was down with the Knicks back in the day of Patrick
Which
Ewing.
I think is a thing in Miami. A lot of times that is overrated, that word, but I do think it exists in Miami. And you got to figure people like Bam and Tyler Harrow and others on that team must be completely frustrated with
When
Jimmy
Tyler,
Butler.
when Tyler,
And pissed off.
I was doing the game on Saturday, and when Tyler Hero says like the vibes are high, we got away from the chaos. Bam said that as well.
Mhm.
It pretty much a shot across the bow, like Jimmy, we don't effing need you here because we're tired of your BS, honestly. And I saw that like, well, at least somebody in this organization has a spine to say something. At least it gives us some clicks, at least, you know. So
Yep. Heat, by the way, they're home tonight against Denver. The 10-7 at home.
I may
Nuggets
go
are on
actually.
the road at 12-8.
I may go. By the way, I'm gonna root for the
Oh.
other team, as I like to say.
But Tyler Harrow has been doing well. He's averaging.
Just watch out for the Bam. Bam had a hard fall against first Portland on Saturday night on his back.
really?
He didn't play Monday night against the Clippers and stuff, so that was a huge loss. I'd like to say the Clippers pretty much manhandled them anyways. And
Went by 60. Did you see? I mean, it was on the Clippers won last night again too. But like, Tyler Harrow's averaging 24.3 points, 5.7 rebounds, 5 assists this year for Miami, and Russell Westbrook is scoring 13.2 points per game and averaging 5 for the Nuggets.
yeah,
So,
I've been watching. I have the free NBA League Pass they've been giving us on DirecTV, so I've been enjoying a little basketball, trying to keep an eye.
They give it to you for free on DirecTV?
Yeah, they give you a week preview again. Anyways, they've done it 3 times already. They want me to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I have it. It's $16 a month, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched every Celtics game, so it's worth it. Celtics are playing Orlando tonight.
Yep.
I expect a much better effort from the C's. But the buzz around the callers and everything, is they talking about Carson Beck, and again, he can't throw a ball until March. I mean, which to me says April and maybe even May. I am not one of those guys that's counting on Carson Beck to be opening up the season against Notre Dame. I still think it's going to be the kid, what's his name, Likey, the 4-star
Elijah.
The 4-star quarterback they got coming in from Georgia, not University of Georgia, the kid. I think he's going to have the best chance to start. I could be wrong. I hope Carson Beck is ready, but this kid, and that 6'7", did I tell you? I told you last week about that tight end, 6'7", 240 pounds. His last name is Johns. They got a lot of good recruits coming in, so we'll see. But what's the buzz been about? I mean, I'm sure the Dolphins aren't being talked about. Maybe they will today a little bit because of the Madrid game.
The Dolphins will have a talking point. I think it's mostly
Jimmy Butler, Carson Beck. What's been the big buzz at QAM?
Everyone's talking the Heat. Really, it's the Heat as always. They drive. It's the wintertime. It's always
this is drama though. But this is drama with Jimmy Butler. It's usually that's gonna be a hot topic.
It's usually been a hot topic. He's been talking about maybe you get a Carson Beck. You may get a Panthers point since they lost to Detroit last night, and they've been on a slit anyway since they lost to the Flyers Monday night.
Like 3 in a row.
Yeah, they won Tuesday and Alpha back to back versus the Devils.
3 or 4, I believe they've lost now.
Yeah,
started with the Bruins on Saturday, which was fantastic.
I did sell those tickets anyways. I found out a Bruins fan took those seats. I was very happy, by the way. So thank you, boss.
Yeah. You have season tickets.
I have a game plan anyways, and it's a 25 game plan. They bumped it up anyways, my price again from $3,000 to $5,000 actually.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, that's what you get when you have the Winter Classic comes to town. They want to make sure everybody gets those tickets. So,
all right, ESPN has the story now about Miami going to Madrid. The Dolphins going to Madrid next season at Bernabeu Stadium.
So that would be probably like if you had to put that. Would you make that the Friday night game? So I did last year.
A good question.
I feel like they want to corner the market. This Thursday's usually the Super Bowl champion host. Friday, I guess they'll probably put one of those international games, and then Sunday.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see who the opponent is. So, Angel, it says on the Dolphins webpage, "Nos vemos en Madrid." Right, we go to Madrid. Right, is that Angel? Did I get that right?
I'm going to say you did, honestly. I'm going to be honest. I'll say you got it.
According to the Dolphins, in the statement, CEO and President Tom Garfinkel, we are thrilled to play the NFL's inaugural game in Spain, a country of rich history, tradition, and passion, and home to a vibrant Dolphins fan base.
I'm trying to figure out where they're going to play this. They're going to play this at Real Madrid.
Nope, they're going to play. Well, I don't know. They're playing the stadium. They are going to be playing, as I just said, at Bernabeu Stadium. Breanbeu Stadium. So, Ando, I don't know if you know where that is, or I'm sure soccer's played there because where isn't it played in Spain?
Yeah.
I thought that was, but your family was in Puerto Rico. You're making a joke.
They couldn't get it at Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Come on. Like, put it at Real Madrid. It would have been cool. Like, put at least over 100.
Oh, here we go. Hang on. The newly renovated Bernabeu is a home to Real Madrid and features a retractable field for American football. Retractable field.
Why can't we get that here? Like, why can't we get the retractable feed here? Like, come.
Oh, you haven't heard? Didn't share what's going to happen when they have the Winter Classic here? Not so much in Tampa Bay, but in Miami. What? The ice is going to come up through the ground, and it'll be melted, but it'll still come up through the ground.
It'll be melted. And we have bring them ice back to the bars and restaurants. Anyways, make ice cubes already. So
any buzz about that going on? With
a
the
lot
Rangers,
of people
in Florida there, and then Tampa Bay and the Bruins up at Ray J.
I'm more excited for the Bruins game. I may actually go to that game, honestly. I think that'll be more fun, and I kind of want to see whatever. I think my parents are excited because my mom's like, I kind of want to go. I was like, you're excited to come to Florida in the wintertime? Like, okay, then I will look at these tickets then. People are excited for it and stuff. It's gonna be. A lot of people are like questionable why the Marlins Park, and I told them like, do you have a bowl game that you guys like love about? And it's like, oh, the Orange Bowl. I was like, yeah. So. People forget. I just wish it was my personal menu. I wish they kind of threw it in Boca, where
FAU plays.
Where FAU play. That'd been perfect. Honestly, I think that'd be.
Well, that's because it's close to your house.
Yeah, and it would have been an easier commute anyways because I can just Uber. I think that's a little better stadium setup. But I understand
about you. It's not about the rest of the fans and everything. But it'll be the biggest crowd at Marlins Stadium, whatever they call it, in a long time.
It'll be the biggest crowd since the World Baseball Classic USA Japan game, which I was at.
I was talking to Rick Horrow yesterday, our sports business guru, and he was like, I said, if they get a week like this and the game's at night and they get a little lucky that it could be in the 50s, fine. But, if they get a January game, like say it was against Miami, San Diego back in the day in the 82 playoff game where it's 85 degrees and 90% humidity, they're fucked. Yep. I don't care what kind of equipment you're going to have. That ice is going to melt. It's not going to be good.
It's like that Lake Tahoe game the NHL did, and it was like they had to cancel the game, and it was like we're going to resume it later at night between Vegas and Colorado, which was I think it was Vegas and the Quebec Nordiques. Anyways, they had to redo the ice and everything. So
yep.
I'm expecting that type of chaos at least.
Jay Flanley checking in. The Marlins Stadium is nice. Oh, it's beautiful. That's not the point. The point is going to be it's beautiful.
They're putting one of those Xfinity Lives like in Philly has like Texas has. They're putting one at the Marlins Park finally. They're gonna have it ready by 2026 for the Rangers and the Panthers. So good for them.
You just gave the Dolphins schedule real quick before I let you go. Now the Dolphins and Chicago Bears apparently hold marketing rights in Spain as part of the league's global markets program, which allows teams to hold events and sign commercial deals in those locations. So, but the Dolphins don't play the Bears.
The Dolphins do not play the Chicago Bears. So they play the AFC North, the NFC South.
Yep.
And sorry, Chicago, but
that's all right. The date of the game and Miami's opponent will be announced this spring.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when everyone figures out where they're going to go. Like me, I'm trying to figure if I want to go to Green Bay or not this year. So
you're going to Spain.
I kind of want to go to Spain. I think
you can finagle your way in. Get yourself on the plane. I mean, get yourself on a plane.
I'll ask Jimmy Stefano and Joe Rose like, hey, I'm their
You're executive producer and you do post game stuff right on the air, right? A lot of times.
This year I just did the behind the scenes stuff. Is they usually were rotating the other co-host chair anyways for this year. So
why don't they get you? You do. If you're a Dolphins post game voice, you should be on that play. You should be going to Madrid.
They want what I heard on the network post game for the Dolphins. They talk about food spreads and everything else, and not the game as much. So I like to keep it to the game, but nothing else in the game. Let's keep it to sports. I like to hold on to the rope of sports. As I quote the great Mike Felger in a few things anyway.
Oh, God, please. They're talking up there because, and Felger made some stupid idiotic comment, which it got overplayed because he was upset. Mikey was upset that Drake May wasn't there.
I know. I laughed at that. Like, let the kid live in Cabo.
Who gives a shit, Felger? Only you. I mean, again, he does it on purpose because he thinks it's a hot topic. topic. It's something here on this show would be discussed for 10 seconds and that's it. But up there, they'll talk about it for 4 hours, and he embraces it. What a dink! How can I be more of a dink today? Well, I'll just say something ridiculous.
Yes.
And get it's just so.
I started laughing at that thing. By the way, I was like, let the kid live in Cabo. He's 24 at least.
Please, I think that's what phones and Zoom things. He doesn't have to be there for that. That's absolutely ridiculous.
You know what he could have done? He could have called up one of his dudes, like, "Yo, throw me on FaceTime. I'm gonna be there right in front of you in case."
He might have anyway. I'm sure that happened. I'm sure he had. I'm sure a lot of that stuff happened, or at very least a phone call. Yeah. So but that's the kind of stuff that I do not miss, because they will talk about that up there for like days, and instead of other important stuff. Just absolutely ridiculous.
By the way, we had Jim Larinaga on the Hurricane Hotline. That dude, I will say this.
I love him.
Dude, he's already wrote, since he stepped down, he's already wrote 15 chapters of a book already.
Oh, I bet.
I want a Jim Larinaga book. I want a Larinaga book out of anybody. Like, I don't collect many basketball books, but that's one book I will take. I want to know that whole thing, anyways.
Yeah, from his time at Providence College and all the way to James Madison. George Mason and all that. I mean, just amazing coaching career, amazing story. I got to talk to him at the Final Four a few years ago in Houston.
Yeah,
and I was at the Canes Hotel. And we had a nice conversation for like 15 minutes. It was absolutely fantastic. And there's nobody nicer and a class act gentleman than that guy. He's fantastic.
That dude I could listen to any day of the week talk basketball. I feel like I learned something from him. And I feel like with him leaving the game of basketball in college, I feel like we're missing something very truly. I want him to go to do television, but I know he doesn't want to. But I'm true. If he makes this book, there better be an audiobook, him reading it out. If said I could see him do it. That's the thing. I need Jim Larinaga doing a book and an audiobook, please.
All right, Trevor, what's your schedule like this week before we let you go this weekend?
Upper Bowl podcast is out. It's me and Duncan Dad. We talk about divisional weekend and we recap wild card weekend and stuff. I'm off all weekend. I just got to do Westwood 1 games and stuff.
Well, get to Spain and scout out Real Madrid, and that way when the Dolphins.
Let me go look. Did they take United? Does United fly out there or American Airlines? I got to look.
No idea. I've been all over Europe. I have not been to Spain. But
hey, let's keep it. I've always wanted to go to Spain. Anyways, I always want to go to Barcelona. I heard it's still like the 90s out there of the fashion trends, which I'm very pro 90s fashion trends and stuff.
Yeah,
I kind of want to go for this, anyways. I'm just glad. I'm glad it's the Dolphins, because if it was Eagles Dolphins, that place will be a gong show already. Anyways,
I hope it's the Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia goes with Miami and they invade Real Madrid and all the bars around there and jump off roofs and tables and hurt themselves.
Are we happy the Montreal Canadiens are starting to be on a heater again? Is it
yes.
good or bad?
Yes. My next guest, Mick Calagio, we're going to get into that. I am very excited. I'm excited for all the original 6 teams to do well. But yes, I want a Bruins Montreal playoff series. We're going to talk to Mick in a second. All right, Trevor, go back to bed.
I've been up since 7 a.m., so we're good. I'm going to go to the gym.
I get up 4:45. I have dump trucks over here putting cement in. They're not supposed to be doing it until 7, 4:45.
I had a dog. There was somewhere on this floor, one of these floors, has been howling since 5 a.m. So I was like, all right, I'm up already. So that's what I've been saying. I don't want to call animal control, but I kind of want to figure out who this
Norman
person
from Seinfeld. Remember, he got rid of the dog and brought him in the lane. Remember, they drove him upstate, dumped him off at a house, and then he found his way back into the city. Anyway, all right, Trevor, go back to bed.
I'm going to go work out. Take care of you.
Oh, go work out. All right, thanks a lot. All right, from one guest to another. The one and only Mick Calagio joining me once again this morning here on a Friday. Usually it's a Wednesday or a Thursday, but Mick accepts today it's going to be a Friday. Bruins are on at least a Florida hot streak here. They so aggravate me, Mick. I can't figure it out. I really can't. Not only did I pick them to win against the Panthers on Saturday, I had shekels. I hit the parlay with the over 5.5 as well, even though if you saw chunks of that game and saw just the shots on net when you get outshot like 3-1, but they found a way, a fluky goal, but nevertheless, a team like them, and then they really, really handed it to the Tampa Bay Lightning the other day. I still can't figure it out. Mick Calagio joins me, one of the best insiders out there in the NHL. Good morning, Mick. Thanks for taking a few. And I think we say this every week or every other week. Have the Bruins reached a turning point?
First off, I want to finish your last sentence about the Lightning, who did not have Braden Point.
No,
Not
they did
that,
not.
not that they can't win games without their best forward, but or not that well, their second best forward,
Yes.
maybe their 1A. But he certainly, as a centerman, he's far and away their best centerman. So yeah, the Lightning didn't come in to Boston with their best, and the Bruins really know they needed that game. They seem to have turned a little bit of the round, or maybe it was just that Jeremy Swayman is finally stealing games for them.
He did the other
I
night.
think, well, if I could sum up what's really the Florida game, Swayman stole.
Yeah.
The Tampa game, the Bruins were playing well, and then Swayman had to be great when they started letting it get away from them, and the Lightning pushed. So Swayman was factored in both games, obviously very heavily down in Florida against the Panthers. So so they got a couple of wins. What's going to happen next? It's hard to know because they don't score much. And games that they score, they usually don't defend. And so they're trying to get better at defending in games that they score. And they need their goalie in games that they don't because they're not outscoring their mistakes otherwise. So the Bruins right now, the biggest problem with them is they are clinging by the tips of their pinky fingernails to the last playoff spot because they played more games than their competition, and now they're starting to come due. And those teams are starting to win games on nights the Bruins don't play, and they keep on sinking in the standings, even though they've won their last two. So the Bruins actually are not in control of their own destiny. They have to be better than everybody else has to be in order to hold that spot. They've played 46, and the Senators, the Canadians, the Red Wings all have played 44.
Yep.
We knew the Lightning were going to pass them. They did. They're comfortably beyond them because they've got a game. They've still got 3 games in hand, and they're 2 points ahead. So the Lightning, that's a playoff team. Let's face it.
But the Bruins would be right now they'd be the one of the I think the last wild card team today anyway. It could change tomorrow if they beat Ottawa. But
they wouldn't go by points if the season ended today. They go by point percentage, and they would have finished in 10th place. So they've committed a lot of sins, and their goaltending hasn't forgiven as many this year as they had in the prior 2 years. I think one of the things that it's not that goaltending has been bad, it's that it's been average.
Yeah.
And if you take the whole body of work for the season, Korpisalo has been good. He hasn't been able to save them from themselves when they've been bad. Swayman has been really good lately. And hopefully he is, there is a trend, and it's very long. It looks like a long track kind of trend. So he's finally getting back to being the guy. And, if he can keep this up and make this, trend stick now for the rest of the season, which is more than half over, then I think he can get the Bruins into the playoffs. But in the meantime, they still got to figure out how to score and make sure that their special teams continue the trend of recent improvement.
You look
at that was uncharacteristically killing them before.
Absolutely. You look at you just don't see this from a Bruins team, the scoring differential. And only in the Eastern Conference, only one team is worse than the Bruins, and that is the Pittsburgh Penguins, the John Henry-owned Pittsburgh Penguins, at minus 36. Otherwise, the Bruins are minus 22. Minus 22. So you take away the Penguins, the next closest is the Islanders, who are in second to last place at minus 19. The Flyers are minus 17. Every game they play goes into overtime, it seems. The Canadians are even minus 10. But we're just not used to seeing at this point of the season minus 22 for the Bruins.
Well,
That's disturbing.
if
And I
you
know those numbers
if
can be
you
skewed because of some earlier losses, 6-0 and everything.
yeah, some blowouts. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've had some ugly blowouts now. And there've been a lot of season where the Bruins have had great hockey teams and have had some nights where they just didn't have it and they wound up getting blown out. I remember most recently, the one that sticks in my head is the year they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row, 10 years ago. And the first of those two cost Peter Chiarelli his job. And only 4 years after winning the Stanley Cup, he was dismissed because his system was bereft of prospects, and the Bruins had a salary cap crunch, and they weren't winning anymore. They missed the playoffs in the last day of the season 2 years in a row. The first of those two cost Chiarelli his job. The second of those two was Don Sweeney's first year. And on Don Sweeney's first year, remember, as soon as he got the job, he told his staff, listen, guys, this is going to be bumpy. A lot of people aren't going to be happy about what's going on. And then the next 24 hours, he traded Milan Lucic and Dougie Hamilton in separate deals to accomplish two things: get under the cap and replenish their prospect system. He did a lot better at getting under the cap than he did replenishing the prospect system. The prospect system did improve temporarily, and now he's almost in the identically same situation that Chiarelli was in 2015, with one little asterisk, and that is that the Bruins have not held a parade during Sweeney's tenure. They obviously, they had a game 7 at home in 2019 against the Blues and lost that game to a more physical team. And that's what happens when you let the more physical team hang around the series. The Canucks found that out in 11. And then they had the dream season in 2023 and couldn't control the Panthers, had them down, had them pinned, almost out, and didn't finish the job.
Marchand should have scored at the end of the game. Had the breakaway, had it, missed the net. Otherwise, the Bruins win the Stanley Cup. I'm convinced of it, but we digress. They said they'd lose.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one that kills me because he didn't know how much time was left, so he didn't do what he would have done. He was definitely compromising his move, making sure he got the shot away before
Not as bad as Glenn Wesley
expired.
missing. Not as bad as Glenn Wesley missing in '90 against Edmonton. That was one of the worst ever.
That was double overtime on
triple. Peter Klima takes one shift and scores, and I had everybody from Slattery's in Fitchburg in my house because the game was running very, very, very late. Bars were closed. Peter Klima with that here, and takes one shift and scores.
Peter triple overtime Klima. Yeah, and you want to know one of the stories about that goal that never get told, and far be it from me to blame anybody in particular, but a second-year NHL defenseman by the name of Don Sweeney screened Andy Moog.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's painful to watch. But yeah, Wes and it was in his third NHL year. So he was 20, maybe 21 by then, and he had that shot on with bodies down in front of the Edmonton net, including Bill Ranford, the former Bruin, whom Harry Sinden traded his first 30-goal scorer since Johnny Busick. He trades for more goaltending. Because in 1988, approaching those playoffs, he knew Reggie Lemelin was having a year, but he wanted to get more goaltending. And so he trades Jeff Courtnall to the Oilers for Andy Moog. Well, by 1990, Andy Moog is the Bruins starter. And at the other end of the rink, who's carrying the Conn Smythe Trophy off Boston Garden Ice? Bill Ranford. Oh, my God.
Well, I remember in the 87-88, I love going down memory lane with you. Remember, so they're playing the Canadians in the semis, I believe. And
quarters. Second round.
Game one, Channel 38, I don't know if you're at the Channel 38 loses the feed. So the whole game is done by Fred Cusick on basically on a vocal call. I remember watching it with a bunch of friends at a bar in Narragansett, Rhode Island. and just like it just sucked. And the Canadians won 4-1, I believe. And then that was it for Mo. Reggie Lemlin comes in and then just steals the show the rest of the way, right up until they lost to Edmonton. And then 2 years later, there you have. I mean, he replaced Danny Moog, right? And Lemlin was phenomenal the rest of the way, including Game 7 against the Devils, the 6-2 win.
Oh, that save at the left post on Verbeek.
Yes, on Pat Verbeek early on. The Bruins went on to win 6-2, and that was with
that was the donut series.
Janney had the donut series. Ron Kaharski, Craig Janney had a hat trick. Strike. Yeah, Janney had the hat trick, and who was the other rookie that played really well with him during the postseason that year? Janney and
it was Bob Joyce.
Bob Joyce. He didn't last long, but nevertheless, decent.
Well, the Bruins. In fact, I was just looking at this. Leave it to me for some random reason that I can't even remember. I was looking at this yesterday. The Bruins traded like half their team and went back to the final 2 years later. It's incredible how many of those players were gone from that team. And Steve Kasper played the best hockey of his life in that Montreal series. He was a huge reason they won it. And Gord Kluzak, the only healthy year as a veteran player, albeit only 24 years old because he came in as an 18-year-old.
Yep.
He played the best hockey of his life in that Montreal series. And Bobby Smith had told me once that Kluzak was the reason we couldn't defend Bourque. He was so nimble on his skates with the puck at the point that when they were out there together, we would always focus everything on stop Raymond. But we couldn't do that with Kluzak over there because he was so underrated offensively.
It's such a great point.
It just the Bruins, that team, when they went back in 1990, they didn't have either one of those guys. They had cashed in a lot of their team for different players in an effort to get more skill. So they had different players. They had Dave Poulin. They didn't have Linsman. They had Brian Propp. They had Davey Christian. They had Bobby Carpenter. Yep. They didn't have McCarthy anymore from the North Stars. They had Gary Galley and Don Sweeney on defense. They didn't have Michael Talvin anymore. They didn't have Reed Larson anymore. They obviously didn't have Kluzak. It's just, it goes on and on and on. It's amazing how many players were different on the 90 team as opposed to the 88. And Cam Neely always says that I think that we had a better chance in 90. We really thought we had a team. You know what, though? They didn't have Kluzak, I think, was the biggest difference. Maybe if they had him, maybe it's a little different.
There's no question, Mick. It's such a great point. And you always felt bad for him because he was hurt early and often, and that was the best year he had. I think if he had remained reasonably healthy, he would have gone down as one of the best defensemen in the history of the NHL. I really believe that. He had everything. Once he got, once he got,
and he was an animal.
He was an animal. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Tough guy. Did you hear? Were you around Cam Neely making his statements about Matt Poitras and Fabien Lysell? Says he's looking.
I did not attend, but I watched the availabilities on the Bruins Dropbox that they send out to the media. I watched them in their entirety a couple of days ago.
What'd you think? What do you think? And this is, of course, really about buying or selling, right? That's what it comes down to. How do you think this is going to play out?
Well, Cam Neely said it's going to play out according to what the team does. So to answer that question, you're basically predicting the season. You're saying, okay, are the Bruins going to pull out a playoff spot here? Are they going to get back in? And if they're going to get back in, are they going to surge right away? Because the NHL is about to take a break in February for the Four Nations Cup tournament that's being held in Montreal and Boston. And it's a long rest for David Pastrnak. Czechia is not in the tournament. So it's USA, Canada, Finland, Sweden.
Which there's been no promo for this at all. There have been nothing. I haven't seen anything.
Well, they didn't wait it all year long. They started finally doing it after the Winter Classic. Once that was out of the NHL's way, the NHL started doing it. Once the Bruins centennial game against Montreal was out of the way, they started waiting on the NHL to start taking the lead. But I have long suspected that this will not be a hot ticket in Boston. It may be well attended because people will come from outside of Boston from all over the world to go to this. But I would highly suspect that Bruins fans and Bruins season ticket holders are going to be a very low slice of the pie of the ticket sales for this. And the reason is because Boston, as you know, is notorious for like, okay, the Red Sox lost. We're not watching the rest of the playoffs. They just move on. I got to watch. They're totally get into football after
very
that.
Parochial, very parochial market. There's no question.
That's absolutely. So with that in mind, and I get personal feedback to this front. I don't want my season being stopped by 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is. I don't want I don't want to be forced to buy these season tickets. I don't want to. I don't want to see Connor McDavid one more time. I don't want to see Austin Matthews run. I want to see the Montreal Canadiens 8 freaking times. That's what I want.
Well, I agree with that.
They missed their rivalries. I brought this to Gary Bettman and Bill Daly at the before Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final over in Fort Lauderdale and Sunrise. And actually, it was Fort Lauderdale. That's where they.
Yes.
So, recorrection. It was at the arena. He said to me that the players wanted this. The players like playing everybody. And as for your anecdotal feedback, our surveys with our fans tell us that they want it too. They want to see all the teams. And I'm like, who the hell are they polling? Because I can't make my way into the Garden without hearing somebody talk about missing the rivalries and missing the divisional. This was my point. If you're going to have a division-centric playoff, in order for it to be fair competition and preserve the integrity of the tournament, it should reflect the regular season schedule. If you're playing everybody in the league 3 times, 4 times a year, then everybody should be seeded 1 to 16. If you're doing it conference-centric, it should be 2 tournaments that are seeded 1 to 8 that produce finalists. If you're going to make a division-centric tournament where one plays wild card, which could be 3 or 4, and I mean could be 4 or 5, and 2 plays 3 in every division, and you have some division that has 3 awesome teams in it, which can happen and has happened.
Well, back in the day with the Adams division, I mean, those were better than the Stanley Cup Final.
It was unbelievable.
Bruins, Hartford, Buffalo, Montreal. It didn't get any better than that, no matter who was playing whom and what year. Those were awesome.
You just brought us back to 1988.
Yes.
Yesterday, for some strange, morbid reason, I happened upon a YouTube video that was about 25 minutes long of a condensed version of Game 3 of the 88 series, the Bruins at Buffalo, which Buffalo won and John Tucker scored 4 goals. And I don't know why I started watching this, but I just wanted to get the flavor of how the teams played and what the hockey looked like, because you live in the moment, and everybody's got there's a sort of a seminal snapshot in their mind of what their favorite sport is when they decided they loved it for the rest of their life. And any way that the excuse me.
Yep.
That's why I wasn't at the Centennial Gala. I'm actually on the mend from a sinus infection.
I can tell a little bit, but thank you. I don't want to keep you for another minute or so. But.
So anyway, that was brutal. I could not believe how many fights there were, how brutal it was, how many high stickings there were, how hostile it was. It was incredible.
How about a few years later when Grant Fuhr stole a whole series against the Bruins in Buffalo? The Bruins had like 8,000 shots on net, could not get it past the former Edmonton.
That was a 50-win Bruins team at a time when you did not keep your point when you lost in overtime.
Yes.
So the Bruins were you didn't have 3-on-3, you didn't have shootouts, and the Bruins had 50 wins. And that was the year that Adam Oates had like 143 points or something crazy like that. Joey Junot in his full rookie season was over 100 points. Incredible season. And and they have nearly in those playoffs. I think they did. Anyway, what happened was the Sabres played a really smart game, and with Bob Sweeney on their team, after the Bruins put them out to pasture, they swept the Bruins. And Mike Milbury had the greatest quote after that series. He said they meant it more than we did.
Yeah.
And the hatred was bigger on their side. The Bruins were looking at them as, okay, we'll get rid of these guys, then we'll get to business. And they didn't show up.
Yeah. I'll let you go. Bruins, Ottawa tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, they go up against NFL, Houston at Kansas City, which is at 4:30. And it's just, sometimes
Mahomes.
Exactly. Mick, go ahead. What?
Schmift. Kelsey Schmelcy. Swift Schmift. I'm watching the Bruins.
I got you. At least for the first half, at least for the first part of it, I will anyway. Mick, thanks so much. Get better, and we'll probably talk to you next week. Thanks so much for taking a few.
Great seeing you, Pete.
You too, as always. Oh, by the way, I've been wearing your Miami Hurricane jacket that you gave me when I first moved down here to Southwest Florida. You came and visited.
Forgot about that.
And it is the best jacket for these couple of weeks out of here. It's the talk of everybody's jealous of it. All my friends are. When it's in the 40s in the morning when I'm out having coffee with Peanut Gallery and stuff outside over here, it is just absolutely terrific. I mean, I can only wear it a couple of weeks out of the year. When I walk Luna, my dog, I wear it too. If it's as long as it's between 45 or lower and 55. I have it on outside. It's terrific.
And you get some more. You do get mornings like that.
You do. For a couple of weeks, you do. Or maybe even a month and a half. I remember
visiting my folks and my mother apologizing to me for how cold it was. And I'm thinking, Mom, this feels great. Today it's 23. We're doing good.
No, it's 59 here. We're getting there.
I'd love 59 right now. But right now, if we hit 30, I'll be happy.
I didn't even get a chance to talk to you about the Winter Classic either, but hopefully you'll come down for the Bruins-Tampa Bay game at Ray J, as long as the ice doesn't melt. And I don't know what the hell's going to happen in Miami. That's another. We'll talk about that next week because
that'll be a fun trip. I hope to make it.
Absolutely. All right, my friend, go take care of yourself. Soup, chicken noodle soup, and ginger ale.
The amazing Lauren. The amazing Lauren just made a gigantic vat of soup. I washed the pans last night. So.
Nice. For that, and have her rub Vicks Vapor Rub all over your body. Make a habit. Make a game of it.
I don't like where this conversation's going in public, but I hear you. All right,
buddy. Take care.
See you later.
Bye. Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles, so check them out. Phil Castanetti, Sports World, down at 184 Broadway in Saugus. Give him a jingle, 781-233-7222 for more information, 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus, be there. All right, Angel, let's do another quick break here, and then John Meter-Perrell will join me after we come back here, and we'll talk about college football playoff final, Notre Dame, Ohio State here. All coming up next. And then Gabe Morency at the bottom of the next hour will have his NFL picks and thoughts and college football playoff thoughts as well. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show on a Football Freaky Friday on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For the best in college football and NFL talk, check out The Pete Sheppard Show, 7 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show, hour number 3. Bang on the drum all day. I don't want to work. Bang on Pete's head all day. Anyway, it is a Freaky Football Friday. A great song. I love Todd Rundgren. Tough to see him in concert. Doesn't do a lot of concerts. Hope he's still alive. Anyway, thanks for checking us out across the video platform at PShep326 on Twitter, X, on all the Facebook pages we have, Coastal Sports Network, Tampa Joe's, And, of course, on mine, CSN Florida, Rumble, LinkedIn, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube. Call or text the show, 727-858-6650. We've been flying all along. At SR 1029 The Game, SR1029thegame.com. You can see it right there. Big schedule coming up today as well on the network. I believe Angel Martinez is host, executive producer extraordinaire. And Martinez and Company coming up again right after this show. And Meter Perel is going to be joining us in a few minutes, but he has to be out by 9:15 because he's got an appointment to attend.
Yep, Martinez Company's coming up here from 10 to 12, a little after 10, because Gabe Morency, when he comes on, he likes to go over, and we have no problem with that whatsoever because we're lucky enough to have him on. But yeah, 10, little after 10 till 12 o'clock, and then the Drive with Q from 4 to 6 p.m., as it is Football Friday here on the network. And then that will cap off pretty much our Friday. Beef will be joining me at 11 o'clock as we do a portion of Bede's World at 11. And then Gabriel Blender from Critical Talents Agency will be joining me at 10:30 this morning. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. And speaking of, there's Meter.
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the voice of Boston College football, and the voice on the ACC network as well for college basketball and college baseball even. And good morning to John Meter Perel, and also a professor at Boston College. Good morning, Meter. How are you?
Hang on.
Oh, hold on.
Square him up here because we've got to make sure he looks and sounds good. Can't do him wrong.
How could Meter not look and sound good? Now that's impossible.
Just don't do me wrong, okay?
Hey, are you calling the BC Duke game this week?
No, I wish I was.
Oh,
I got usurped by Dave O'Brien.
I mean, we don't love Dave, and I get it.
Just time to find a new agent. What can I tell you?
Dave doesn't want to do that game. You want to do that game.
I do want to do that game, but I'm doing the game the next day. It's not, it doesn't have the.
What's the next day? Which game is the next
Wednesday? But I'm going to BC women against the mighty Syracuse women, and the BC women beat you last night.
Yeah, I don't care about it. So wait a second. So you're going to go to?
I'm not sure if you heard, Pete, but women's basketball is big now.
Yeah, you're going to go to Syracuse on Sunday?
No, it's at BC.
Oh, it's at BC. I was going to say that would really be the ultimate kick in the teeth.
No.
Essentially, Syracuse on Sunday in that frigid.
No. But as Pete, we just we pick up the ball and we keep moving on. I'll be on the ACC network again on February 1st, BC, Florida State.
All right, excellent, fantastic. All right, we'll get into the national championship in a second. I know you only have a little bit of time today, but I started the show with a big tribute to Bob Uecker and the audio and video stuff and everything else. I only got to meet him once, many, many years ago at Fenway. It was very brief, like 30 seconds, in passing. And just a great guy. I don't know if you ever had any dealings with him or met him or got to speak to him on any level, being in the play-by-play booth sometimes at Fenway. But what an icon. He's really going to be missed, and one in a million.
No, he certainly is. And I have not never met him. I wish I had. Obviously, I'm pretty tight with some people that worked with him, including Josh Maurer, who's in the Brewers radio booth and does BC basketball on radio. So he's one of those guys that clearly is hurting today, along with the rest of the Brewers organization. Sal Frelick, who I interviewed on the Bill O'Brien podcast, who was a former BC outfielder, now a Brewers outfielder, called him your favorite grandpa, favorite uncle. Uecker would sit down for hours and just talk and talk and talk. And they'd be like, Bob, we got to go take batting practice. He's like, you got 10 more minutes. So it's one of those deals where even if they had heard the story, it was still funnier the next time. And I think he was that type of guy. I love the line that a lot of people have used in the last 24 hours, and he used it at his Cooperstown induction when his father's. He talked about his dad when the Brave Scouts said, "Hey, we want to sign Bob to a contract, and it's $20,000." And his father's like, "Well, we don't have $20,000 to give you, but thanks anyway."
And of course, a lifetime 200 hitter, and in his Hall of Fame speech said he wanted to go in as a player. I mean, he was great.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a loss. But I watched Major League with my son Ben last night in honor
Oh.
of Bob Uecker. I'm sure many watched that yesterday. Probably a lot of Brewers fans watched it, and yeah, he had never seen it, and he was
Oh, really?
laughing his ass off. So the fact that 90% of those lines were improvised told you how
Mhm.
talented he was.
Absolutely. He was absolutely fantastic. And just real quick before we get into the college football playoff championship, Ohio State Notre Dame, but I've always said, baseball was made to be heard on the radio. TV is nice now and everything else, but they're part of your family. A local announcer for your major league team, wherever you may be. I mean, we were lucky in the Boston area for many years. Ken Coleman, Kirk Gowdy, Joe Castig, Johnny Miller, even for a degree, but now he's out in San Fran. Obviously, Vince Scully and so many, Bob Murphy. So, I mean, Mel Allen. The list is endless, but there's something about the baseball nostalgia, play-by-play announcers. It's just different from all the other sports. Not that they're not great announcers like yourself that does college and the NFL and the NHL, but don't you've been in the business a lot. It's just different in baseball, isn't it? There's just something special about that voice that you hear on a daily basis
Yeah,
for baseball.
yeah, no question. I think it's an attachment that you don't have in other sports. First of all, it's the continuous nature of the sport.
Yeah.
It's 162 games. So they feel like a companion. They are for many people. You probably had grandparents, I know I did, that listened all the time.
Mhm.
And it's definitely a throwback mentality there, but still you're driving along, you bring
You're
the
on the
radio.
beach. You're on the beach. I
Right,
mean,
exactly. You're on
anywhere. I
the
mean,
beach. You're not necessarily, you're on the beach in early September. You're not going to hear the dulcet tones of an NFL broadcaster.
Yeah.
But, on the beach in July, you'll hear that from an
Mhm.
assorted number of major league radio broadcasts. So, yes, it's more homespun, Pete. I remember Bob Starr, who had a short stint with the Red Sox. I
Great
thought
guy. When he went to the Angels, he was a great guy.
I thought he was terrific on the
Yeah.
air. His
I used to
booming
interview him
voice.
when I was at WFGL in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, and he would come on with me on a monthly basis. He was terrific, and
Yeah.
he got screwed. I don't know if it was with Duquette. He came from Anaheim, stayed with us for a year, and then went 2 or
Way
then
too short.
went back to Anaheim.
Yeah, he was the best guy they had.
Yeah.
And I vaguely remember when John Miller was on, and
Yep.
that was a big mistake the
They
Red Sox
screwed,
made.
they screwed him too.
They,
Yeah.
they didn't send him the contract in
Nope.
time. It was kind of like the Carlton Fisk scenario.
Yep. Mhm.
So I don't. Yeah, they certainly have misfired a few times, but yeah. I mean, I'm reading the Vince Scully book now, An Appreciation of Vince Scully, which you should read.
Yeah.
Came out a couple years ago. It's by this guy Tom Hoffarth, but literally every page is an appreciation of Scully by someone, whether he crossed paths with them or
Mhm.
whether he worked with them or anybody that knew him. And everybody just comes back to the fact you felt like you were listening to a friend.
Yeah. That's what
And
it is. That's what baseball broadcasting is. I mean, for most, you're listening to a friend, somebody that's in your home or on the beach or somewhere on your car every
right.
day.
That's
Yeah.
what they used to say about you on the Big Show.
I don't know about that. Said some other things, but no, I mean, no, it was mostly 99% good. Just like you on, Dennis and
Of
Callahan.
course.
Oh, I just watched the documentary, by the way, on Cinemax about Hernandez, Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
And you weren't. It was Manahan and Callahan that made.
Yeah, that was right after I left.
Yeah, right after you left. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
it's
must have-
Minahan was loving that because they were digging every day, and good for them. They found out
Yeah.
some information. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they should do, and they did. But I haven't watched it yet. It seems intriguing. I feel like I know pretty much everything there is to know about Hernandez, but I know this dives
Yeah.
into some other things.
This was very, very good. All right, let's get into a few minutes left here with John Meter Perel, and let's get into the college football playoff championship, Ohio State and Notre Dame. A lot of people are making a big deal out of Jeremiah Smith, a freshman who was kind of limited to 1 catch and 3 yards after he had 13 catches and 290 in the Buckeyes' first 2 playoff wins against Tennessee and Oregon. Chip Kelly, though, I have a feeling is going to find. I mean, who would have? If I had told you a couple of years ago that Chip Kelly would be an integral part of Ryan Day's and the offense of Ohio State, I don't. I'm going with the Buckeyes in this one. I think they win by 10 to 14 points, if not more. I think they're playing too well.
Well, I think it's going to be closer than that. I think this is going to come down to Kelly versus Al Golden, and two guys that it's going to be a chess match because Golden's defense at Notre Dame is really good. And, I know they've had some injuries and they lost Ben Morrison, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the country. So they still compensated for that. I understand what you're saying. I don't deny the fact that I think Ohio State's great. They're both great, obviously. But I think this is a one-possession type game, one touchdown game, maybe even a field goal game. Might come down to the dreaded kickers. I hope it's a good game. My heart says I hope it's a good game. You and I just want to be entertained. I don't like the layoff. I think it's, I know the NFL rules the world, but this game should have been played tomorrow night. Saturday night college football playoff would be perfect. That's what it should be. Saturdays are made for college football. I do not like the fact they had 10 days off. It seems like an afterthought now. People have talked about, will they challenge the ratings record of 33 million, which was set in 2014? I hope they do, but I'm not so sure about that either.
Well, because Notre Dame and all their fraudulent fans, they might come close, but we'll see how close the game is. I just don't think. I think Notre Dame's going to play a lot of man with Golden. That's what they do, and I don't think they can handle this Ohio State offense, which is to me a juggernaut. Carnell Tate, who's the running back, Henderson as well. There's too many weapons on Ohio State, and I know Golden's a really good defensive coordinator, no question about it. I think Ohio State just got too much firepower right now. Playing on all cylinders. All the pistons are firing, as Norman Dale would say. And the best thing that ever happened to them was losing to Michigan State. They have not been the same team since, in a great way for them.
Yeah, and I'll be celebrating Ryan Day with the rest of the Buckeye fandom. I told you many times, I love the guy. I think he's an outstanding coach. He's what a meteoric rise since I knew him back when he was, coaching Matt Ryan at BC. So I think he is going to, he'll have a lot of answers, and I think Freeman will have a lot of answers. Freeman proved he's one of the best coaches in the country. So, and man, it's his profile rise.
Yeah, so much so that he's wanted to be interviewed with some other places. I'm not sure he's ready to be coaching the NFL, but you're right. He's an excellent coach.
Don't be surprised to see the Cowboys make a run.
Oh, please. They're a mess. I mean, they're going to he's not enough of a puppet. I mean, they'll go after Witten or Kellen Moore. Or, I still think at 60-40 that Dion ends up there anyway, which I hope it does for our sake, from a broadcasting standpoint.
I hope it happens too, just for the absolute drama and soap operas.
All right. I know you're busy. You got stuff you got to do. So thanks for taking a few minutes. And we'll talk next week. All right. All the best.
Pete,
give me a prediction. Final score.
I'm going to go Ohio State 35. Actually, no, let's go to Ohio State 27, Notre Dame 24.
Okay. So you're like Notre Dame in the over. That sounds good. All right, Meter. We'll talk soon. All the best. Carol Ann's in the television set. Here comes Meter to save her. Yeah.
Watch out for Heather O'Rourke, the late Heather O'Rourke.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Thanks, Peter. We'll talk soon.
Not many people know who that is.
Yeah.
You can Google it.
Yep. Yeah, I know who she is. Tragic.
It was tragic. That was awful.
Yeah.
But all right, boys.
Glad you brought it up.
Take care, boys. Have a good weekend.
Oh, man. All right. Before we won't take another break, Angel, but before I wanted to get some funny videos in from last night. Let me see. Somebody. Yeah, the breaking news story about the Miami Dolphins. So they're headed to Madrid next year as part of the NFL's International Series. It'll be the league's first ever game in the city, with Miami listed as the home team. So it'll be against either the Bills, Patriots, Jets, Ravens, Bengals, Saints, Buccaneers, Chargers, or Commanders. So there's a lot of good options there for Miami, which could end up being very interesting. All right, some shenanigans last night on TNT, as usual, with the crew. So there's a couple of them that let's scroll down to the guys running Bill Belichick's Charles Barkley play in the studio, Angel. If we could get to this last night. And by the way, once again, when the two best teams this year, record-wise anyway, get together, and Oklahoma City just beat the crap out of Cleveland last night. And the game wasn't even close from the get-go. All right, so here it is. The guys run Bill Belichick, Charles Barkley play in studio.
We're gonna do the Charles Barkley. You're the linebacker. You got to get sucked in by this play action with Kenny the Jet back here. Okay, so don't just go running at him. Okay, so blue 18, blue 18, kill. Charles Barkley. Hut, hey. Oh! He dropped it. He was so scared. One more. Come on. Why were you scared? I just wasn't scared. It's all bad, man. Hit you, man. I ain't gonna hit you. Imagine it's a Twinkie. Catch the Twinkie now. He ain't gonna drop it back here. Warren Sharp. Charles Barkley. Hut. Hey. Oh, got him. Go there. Look at those wheels. Come on, man. That way. Okay. He thought you was going to hit him. No, I ain't going to hit him. He thought you was going to hit him. Thanks again to Bill Belichick for joining us on the Steam Room today. Thanks for the stories about the actual play called Charles Barkley. And you know what? If we ran this one more time, I don't know if you're going to be able to get through it. Let's see. Here it is. The first one. Right in the hands, already wrong place. You're kind of winded. Chuck. Let's run it one more time. Here we go. Hey. Oh my God. Oh, there you go. Oh. All right, one more time, Chuck. Let's go, Kenny. One more time as we go off the air. Go a little deeper this time. Oh boy. Ready? Charles Barkley. Hup. Hey, man. Oh, come on. Interference. I was past 5 yards down the line. That's it for tonight. We'll see you all on Monday afternoon. MLK Day doubleheader.
Now, for those of you who may not know, I know a lot of sports fans do know, but Charles, I mean, a great player, basketball player that was at Auburn. They wanted him to play football, and he'll tell this story a million times, but he went out as I guess a walk-on. He went out to practice and lasted about 10 minutes. He's like, this ain't for me, and walked off the field. You would have thought he would have been a good football player back then. He's like, no, not going to happen. All right, let's do another one here. If we scroll right down. So last night, when Kenny tries to run up to the big board, it's right beneath the one we just ran, Angel. Kenny, as you know, runs up to the big board during halftime of all these games. And sometimes there's a race, sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's injuries. Sometimes equipment falls off. I mean, or sometimes a combination of both.
You know, Shaq knows. Shaq has a lot of diversity. Oh, he's on the road. He came out. Oh, man. I know I dropped something.
Kenny ran right out of his pocket square.
I didn't know what
Man, that's some speed right there.
Kenny, are you ever going to win?
That is stop.
You thought you were losing. Because I dropped
stop it.
I dropped something. Stop it. Your ego. What happened? You dropped your ego. I saw something fly out, and I dropped.
Yeah.
You're just a quitter, Kenny.
Man, you got whipped.
You're just a quitter. No, I did not get whipped, Ernie.
Yeah, you did. When can we see that replay?
15th, Shaq, we can go on the 100-yard line. May 19th. May 19th.
Very impressive.
He quits every time he loses. No, I don't quit. I dropped something. Anyway, what I like about the
But didn't stop to get it.
No, I was. I turned to get it. I thought it was money. But anyway... We're talking about the diversity of the. You know what? I'm not going to that.
Come on, you're already there.
I'm not doing nothing, man.
You're already there.
Hey, Tyrese Eason and then Thompson, good job this time. That's all right. I don't like the way y'all playing me right now. Listen, the only thing you dropped was your pride. No. I was looking at you, the race. Here's a guy who's standing like this. No, you cannot run Shaq. You should be embarrassed. But he's already turned around. It's only 5 steps.
You got a better start.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did, and then he overtook you.
But I dropped. You dropped your ego. No, I did not. I dropped something. Your pride.
No, let's see it. Let's see it. See, look at you. Look at your start.
Pure.
And you had nothing, and weren't even aware that you had dropped anything.
No, I did. I saw it come out of my peripheral.
Now, someday, I mean, there have been slippage on the steps before from Kenny and others. Someday, Shaq's going to blow out his knee. Kenny's going to tear his Achilles heel, and that'll be they're going to have to carry him up there. But anyway, that was a good game last night, too. Sacramento and Houston, which Sacramento won. They've been playing some great basketball. as well.
Wow, how about this? Is ridiculous. As we're on, we just played that on, and mind you, Facebook, this is available on public domain. Yeah. Just got a quick flag from Facebook as we're live saying this is intellectual property. NBA on TNT.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's why. Listen, that's why I can't stand.
What did they do? What did they do?
Oh, they'll stop the programming.
Oh, they're gonna edit me right now on Facebook.
Yep. It's why I can't I told you, it's why I can't stand friggin' Facebook. Facebook police have nothing else better to do. I bet you if we were friggin' naked on the screen, they'd had no problem with it whatsoever. Like, oh, show more. It's just, I hate Facebook. You hear me, Facebook? This is why I absolutely hate you.
All right, that's bullshit. So we'll find out if we're being edited or not. That's absolute crap. It's public domain. It's all over the place. All right, if we could scroll down again, Mad Dog Russo on ESPN Front Row. Now you know the story, maybe you don't. He wants to meet. He's been yapping all week about meeting Timothée Chalamet, who's playing the Bob Dylan in the movie. He's been talking about him and meeting him, wanting to meet him. And anyway, here's Mad Dog yesterday on the process, and finally he did get to meet him on the red carpet, which was ridiculous. But here's how it all went down.
How many times did I come on this set and scream and yell, "I got to get Timothée Chalamet on TV for the radio"? He promised. He has failed miserably. And this guy's done a tremendous job, and I couldn't get him on it. And he's a big sports fan. He grew up in New York City, so much for the Mike and the Mad Dog days. So I'm sitting there on Saturday morning getting ticked off as we go on and on and on as they're talking about Chalamet and the complete unknown, and I can't get. That's all they do on the radio is talk about this stupid movie, and I can't get him on for crying out loud. Hey man, nice to meet you. How you doing? I'm good, man. Thanks for Thanks for coming, man. Well, come on. And game day, you were great. No one expected that. Yes. Yes, sir. Give me a yes, sir. Yes, sir. There you go, Timmy. Yes, sir. How many times did I come on
all
this
right. It's just so ridiculous. Absolutely so ridiculous. All right, Angel. I've never seen, when sports talk show hosts go out of their way to make fools out of themselves with actors. It's like ridiculous. And, I've been lucky enough in the Boston area, been out to dinner. Matt Damon or Ben Affleck would be in the same restaurant as me or whatever else. You don't go out to them. You give them a little wave or something way out and whatever. And there's been some others as well. Clint Eastwood was walking down the street one day in the north end of Boston and said hello, didn't stop and make a whole big deal about it, just to leave the man alone. Very intimidating man, by the way. even then, this was like 15, 20 years ago. Very intimidating man, but, a teddy bear for those who know him. All right, anyway, we talked about Bob Uecker. Gabe Morency going to join us from Sports Grid coming up. Sports Rage from Sports Grid going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour with his Pigskin Picks. But one more, I want to replay the video, Angel, that we replayed earlier with Al Michaels talking about the legend Bob Uecker, about the time he was doing a game with Howard Cosell and how great the late, great Bob Uecker was. Great broadcaster, quick-witted, and put Howard in his place. Great stuff here, in case you missed it.
Give me your best Uecker story. The best Uecker story, Uecker and Cosell and I are doing a game in, I think it was Houston.
Okay.
And Howard, you know the way Howard was. He was, baseball's such a simple game. They make it so complicated. So it's a situation late in the game where Howard is calling for a bunt. Now, when somebody calls for a bunt in a situation where you can't bunt, they know nothing about baseball. So Uecker and I, now Howard would be spewing all of this misinformation. And now Uecker's trying to, explain to Howard carefully, why you probably wouldn't bunt in this situation. So it's a little bit, he's chiding him minimally. Cosell says on the air, he says, okay, Uecker, you don't have to be so truculent. You do know what truculent means, don't you? And without hesitating, Uecker says, of course, Howard, if you had a truck and I borrowed it, it would be a truculent. And that is Bob Uecker.
Without skipping a beat?
Without skipping a beat. And the other thing with Uecker is we're doing a game. It's just the two of us are doing a game later that season. And Charlie Finley owns the A's, and he wants to introduce the alert orange baseballs, like the tennis balls. Sure. You can see them. So we start talking about it. The game is terrible, and we're going back and forth. And the Uecker finally says, look, the bottom line is this can never happen. I go, why not? He said, you couldn't find enough diseased horses. So I mean, how does a brain work like that?
All right, I'm looking on the Facebook page. That's a great story. I'm looking on the Facebook page. It said it's blocked, but I'm also I see that it's live right now, back again. So whatever. It's just so full of it.
Well, I can't say.
Honestly, none of the other video platforms do this, and Facebook has no right to do that.
Because they have nothing else
to
do.
Banning for nudity and profanity and a lot of stuff that they want to play the social media police. Then kiss my ass, Like we'll survive without Facebook if that is nice, but we have a lot of other video platforms we can do. Nobody else does this. Anyway,
because I swear they have nothing else better to do. Listen, I can go on a tangent and I won't because I'm going to freaking keep myself calm a little bit. But this is why I can't stand Zuckerfuck. Period. I can't stand him. He's a moron. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me that for half of the crap they allow to happen on Facebook, yet alone any other friggin' between Facebook and TikTok and other friggin' places, like the nonsense that they're able to go off on, and yet you get flagged for something that's available on public domain. That's why I can't stand Facebook. And I'm pretty sure they'll flag the account again. Ask me if I give a shit.
All right, Angel, while I wait for Gabe to come on here real quick, just refresh my Twitter page if you want. And Real Madrid CF is welcoming the Miami Dolphins, who was announced today. We won't find out this spring who their opponent will be, but they will be playing the first ever game in Madrid, Spain. And the videos, it's a short video, but two is in it. There you go.
It's happening. Madrid, here we go.
See you at the Bernabeu, Miami Dolphins. Welcome to Madrid.
It's happening.
Obviously, a player for Real Madrid going to be playing in their stadium, which has the football field comes up from the bottom, like something out of Batman. It's crazy. So that's going to be interesting, Angel. Miami in Madrid, first game ever there. We'll find out.
I think it's going to be good. I mean, for Miami being there, I think it'll be fine because obviously a lot of the Spanish heritage is down in Miami as is. So I would love to see it. I mean, I would imagine you're going to get a good amount of folks to go over there to Madrid, and especially
it'll be sold out. It'll be sold out. It's a question of how many United States people are over there. I'm sure hey, look, if it's I'd love to see them play the Patriots. It'd be great. But they also could play Baltimore. That's on their schedule, too. Baltimore, Tampa Bay could be there, Angel. That could be something.
There could be. All right. And it'd be nice. It'd be nice to do a show from there, as a matter of fact. But, it's all parts of hopes and dreams.
We should. Well, why not? We should.
I would have to update my passport. But definitely it would be freaking fun to be able to do something over there, especially with the Spaniards. I feel like being back home, except for, the only difference between us.
Dialect.
Yeah, that's it, pretty much. But other than that, everything else is basically the same. It's like, London, they talk about, everybody talks to Queen's English. It's almost the same way when it comes to Spain. It's like the King's Spanish. And it was derived to other parts of the world.
No, absolutely. And then like in Italy, where, different regions have different dialects. It's almost the same, but you can tell it's different depending on what region. Same thing in Spain. Even though I know people that have been, every region has their own sort of separate dialect of the language. It's like that, like in this country. There's a lot of different dialects. Southern drawl, New England stuff, Midwestern.
Yep.
Sometimes you pronounce your R's and INGs, sometimes you don't.
Pretty much it.
Sometimes you add an R to an end of an A and add like tamper, or sometimes you don't. It all depends on where you're from. Well, anyway, thanks for everybody for checking us out. I believe we're back on Facebook, and thanks. Listen on a plethora of Facebook pages on the Coastal Sports Network, one, Tampa Joe's, mine. Also on CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, and call or text 727-858-6650 while we wait for Gabe. So I imagine you're going to have your picks too, right, on your show coming up?
Yeah, usually we get the Friday party line going on the phone. So usually Rick calls in, got some guy definitely for.
Yeah, I tune in, and you have like 5 people on at once. Sometimes it seems.
Yeah, it's the party line. It's the way it's been on Friday. So it's always fun. Everybody calls in, not including the folks who are on with me. I believe Duncan Dad may be joining me as well. He joined me on Wednesday. But no, we try to make it as fun as we possibly can. And I know there was someone I got to reach back out to on LinkedIn where they made a comment about you should have the folks to come in, like if you're a guest or you're watching the show. And it could always end up happening. All you have to do is just send me a message. I'll send you a temp link, and then you guys can end up joining so you guys can see what, as far as being on the show itself. But yeah, we try to make it as fun as we possibly can. Right. And there's other stuff to work on over the weekend, which will hopefully, if I get it done in time, it'll be launched by Monday.
Nice. So that's what your weekend is going to be like, But where will you be at 3:00 on Sunday afternoon when the Philadelphia Eagles host the LA Rams?
I'll be here.
Good.
Yep.
Right to you. All right. Without any further ado, there he is, the one and only Gabe Morency, a.k.a. Sports Rage, joining me for usually his weekly visit. Does a great job. Thanks for taking a few, Gabe. Good morning. How are you doing?
How you doing today, Pete?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Just found out earlier today Miami's going to play in Spain against who knows. But interesting stuff. First time that's ever happened. Have you ever been abroad for any of these games, in the NFL?
No. I guess if you want to consider Toronto abroad. No, the Bills played in Toronto, but no, I never have. I've you know what? It's crossed my mind a couple of times after a few drinks. When the Bills played in London a few times, I thought about it, but never really seriously enough to actually do it. They look cool and stuff, but you can go to an NFL game and not have to fly for 9 hours. That's the way I look at it.
That's true. That's true. All right, let's get right into it. We'll go through the 4 playoff games and the college football playoff championship. I won't keep you too long because I know you're busy. And I'm glad the Baltimore Buffalo game will be the last one. But let's start with the beginning of the Texans and the Chiefs right here. And I mean, on the surface, right, 8.5. When you're talking about Kansas City, they don't beat anybody by 8.5, but it is the playoffs. And we talked about last week, you had a great call on the under between Houston, or the over, I should say, on the Houston and the Chargers, where a lot of people were going under. I took your advice. Even though I picked under on the show, I went against myself because I went with your advice because you sounded more logical about it. But you expecting Houston to keep it close once again, even though it's on the road against Kansas City, where they just don't blow out anybody. How much of that do you take into account what happened in the regular season as opposed to this situation?
I do think we're in the same situation with the total once again. We have an even shorter number in this football game than we did last week. And, everything you said about the Chiefs is true. We all know it. We know, that they don't blow teams out. That when they're favored by more than 3 points, they generally haven't covered. I mean, they're great in the big games, right? And then they'll sort of play down to the level of competition. But this is the playoffs now. And as you stated, there's always that fear they're going to dial it up a notch. And I think offensively they will, right? We know how good they are defensively, but they still do give up 19 points a game. And the Houston Texans only give up 21 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
But that Mahomes and company, they're healthier than they have been. They've had basically 3 weeks to get ready for this game. So you figure that Kansas City are going to get to the mid-20s in this game, as good as Houston's defense is.
Mm-hmm.
So what can Houston give us? Can Houston give us 17? Is Houston going to give us 21? If Houston give us 21 points, Pete, this game's going over the number, right? I mean, Houston winning the game outright? Probably not. So in other words, if they can give us 20 points, we don't really that's not like the benchmark, but it kind of is in a way. I think they can cover as well. And listen, this is a dangerous week because you want to buy into what you just saw, or it's easy to want to take the points and say, oh, this is too many points. That's too many points. There are levels to this stuff as we see, right? As the playoffs go on, the teams get a lot better. Let's just call it for what it is. I mean, the LA Rams, they're not playing the Minnesota Vikings right now.
No, exactly.
Right? The Commanders, well, with all due respect to Tampa, yeah, it's a cool pirate ship, but it's not known as one of the tougher places to play. Yeah, it's the Buccaneers. So, these teams, they do have a big step up in class. But with all that being stated, man, Houston have hung around with Kansas City in the past. I mean, hell, they had a 24-0 lead a couple of years ago in the plaffs on them.
Before they lost by 20, before they lost 51-31.
And they ended up getting lit up, right? So that's what I'm saying. If I would have told you, Houston going to be up 24-0 tomorrow, you'd be like, oh, wow, we're going to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows with the playoffs?
Exactly.
But with all that being stated, I'm going to fall for the trap, Pete. I'm going to take the points. I like the underdogs pretty much all the way through here, and I'm just going to hope for the best. But you figure to me this is like a 27-20 game. You know what I mean? 27-21, 28-21, 24-20, etc. Or at least we hope. I think Joe Mixon will suck it up. I think, you know what I mean?
Yep.
This is what cortisone exists for, etc., and the different things that they have. So I'm going to take my chances. And, if we get the split, we get the split. But give me the Texans plus the points and the over. Listen, the Texans, we kidded about the Texans always being in that spot, the opening slot on TV. They've won 5 times in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
They've never won the next week, right? They've never gotten past this next dance before the divisional round. So they're kind of in tough, but they're playing with house money, man. They got nothing to lose, and they're better than people realize, the Texans, actually. They're defensively, they're going to confuse you enough to just sort of stay in the football game, and I think that offense sort of turned the corner a little bit after the broken play last week.
All right, let's go on to 8 o'clock on Fox on Saturday night. Washington right now, plus 9.5 on the road. The total at Detroit, 55.5. It seems obvious, but I do like the over in this game. Jaden Daniels is not playing like a rookie. 9.5 points to me seems like it seems like a lot. This to me has backdoor cover written all over it. You might think differently. I think the Commanders are going to hang around a little bit unless getting in, his first playoff game, getting into his head, and Jaden Daniels and the rookie thing starts there. But I don't know. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy. They win every close game. They won 5 out of 6, like the last play. Amazing. Before you came on, I had Washington plus 9.5. I like over. What say you, though? What do you like in this game and matchups? And this seems like a prop bettor's dream, right? There'll be no punts in the game because they all go for it on 4th down, both teams. So, right? Over, under, and punts, 2. That's me. I set the line.
Yeah, it should be a proper-palooza in this game. You're right. But oftentimes, a good example last week, the game that everybody thought would be the low-scoring, boring game ended up being the only over of the week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the way these things work out. I tell you what, though, as far as the back door, I'm almost thinking about the front door here, actually, to be honest.
Ooh.
And this is something I just sort of started to think about last night as you try to play these scripts out in your head, how these games are going to play out.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, Detroit have had the bye week. Put it this way, guys. I can see Washington scoring early. Detroit fans getting a little tight early. Oh, man, we're down 7-3. Oh, we're down 10-3. Or it's 14-7 Washington. We got to pick it up. And sort of like what you just said about KC. At the end, you're like, oh, damn, they ended up winning by 17.
Or about Buffalo last week. Knicks gets them early, then they get Oregon connection, and then after that, nothing.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like the Lions, that's what I'm saying. I can see Washington showing up early. They played last week. They've got momentum. You know what I mean? But, the first couple of drives, Washington looked good. Detroit kind of, a little bit sloppy, a little bit rusty. And then it sort of picks up. Now, you could argue the same thing about Houston as well. Mm-hmm. But you look at this Washington team, I'm getting 3.5 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That's not usual, guys.
No.
It's not easy. As a betting man, anyone who knows it's a degenerate and plays these corner props, it's not easy to be up by 4. You basically have to outscore them by a touchdown, right? Because, what are the chances you're going to outscore them 6-0 or whatnot? Yeah. It's generally, all right, you kind of got to score by a touchdown here in the first quarter, and then even in the first half. Even in the first half right now, you're getting 6.5 with the Washington Commanders, which I think is live. And I use this, too, because I tell you, the other night the Brooklyn Nets got lit up by the Clippers, and was like one of the fourth worst loss in NBA history or whatnot. Actually won a bet by having the Brooklyn Nets in the first quarter of that game.
Wow.
As crazy as it was, they lost by 59, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Pete, it was 21-21 after the first quarter. And I was like, I'm going to take the Nets +6 in the first quarter here. It's too many points. And it was 21-21. Next thing you know, they're losing by 60.
It's crazy.
Hey, I won the first quarter bet. So I kind of feel the same way about this, actually. I like that Washington. I really like this. Washington +3.5 in the first quarter. But I have a little bit of a concern that the Lions are going to pull away as the game goes on. They'll score a couple of touchdowns late. Look, they score 33 points a game, this team, and I don't really think otherwise. They're going to get to 30 here. So what can Washington give us, right? And I kind of think they can hang around in this game and cover the number as well. I got it sort of, in that 33-24 range, right around the number. I think the number is accurate, but Detroit wins by like 7. I think they're going to come back, overtake them, win comfortably enough, but I do think 9.5 is too. It's too many points to lay to Washington.
I'm with you. All right, let's go on to Sunday's games, 3:00 on NBC. The Rams of Philadelphia. Look, I'm not falling for this trap, and I've been on the Eagles a lot. They may win ugly. Here's the thing with A.J. Brown. I will guarantee that he will have at least a touchdown. I'm not saying he's going to have 100 yards. The last time there was this little rift a few weeks ago, he had a monster game coming out. Now, I went back and watched a lot of that game. I've been talking about it all week. You can talk about Jalen Hurts and a couple of bad pat here and there. There was nobody open. And Kellen Moore's going to come up, and I believe he will come up with a better scheme this time. The Eagles are good enough and talented enough. They can win ugly again. The Rams are not as good as what we saw on Monday night against that Sam Darnold and whatever that was. That was an absolute debacle. They're not going to get to Jalen Hurts 9 times or anything close to that. They didn't stop Saquon Barkley before. I don't believe they will stop him again. It may be ugly at times. Here's one thing I do know. I know that Hurts and A.J. Brown will connect on more than one play for 10 yards, more than one catch for 10 yards, and I think A.J. is going to score a touchdown, maybe 2, and the Eagles win this game by double digits. What say you?
I don't think the Eagles – listen, I think the Eagles they're a strange team to me. Like, the Eagles I think they can beat anybody and win the Super Bowl, but I also think they're vulnerable and they could lose to anybody. But, I mean, they only have to win 3 more games right now, so they're getting closer. I mean, with everything that we saw last week, the Green Bay Packers were one drive away from covering the point spread in that game.
Yep.
All right, and you were talking about, while they're not the Vikings, the Rams also are not the
Packers.
Yeah, the Rams are not the Packers. The Rams don't have the injuries the Packers do either.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, the Packers didn't have any wide receivers.
That's true. Yeah.
I like Jordan Love, but Jordan Love ain't no Matthew Stafford, bro.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as postseason experience, my thing with this is essentially 2 road games in a row for the Rams now.
Yeah.
Like, as far as travel, I know Arizona and LA aren't that far, but it's still the situation from the emotional stuff from the fires last week, going into the game, digging down deep. Like you said, they played just so perfectly, and they talked about it after. And Stafford's been in the league a long time, and he was pretty emotional. I was surprised. Like, he was about the game after and about how they wanted to win for LA, and they were really, it was so critical for them, and they dug down so deep. And, he's basically admitted, like, emotionally how important it was to them. Hard to dial it up a notch like that again, just emotionally, right? They're not going to get that same spark going into Philly. But on the plus side, the jackass Philly fan won't be there, so it won't be quite as loud.
I'm sure and by the way, for our audience, because we played it, and he got fired from his job too.
Yeah. It's a wild world we're in right now, man. You know what I mean? Like,
football, I understand the passion of everybody's been, but my God. And I played one of the people who broke it all down and said, and they had a picture. Do you talk to your wife like this? Do you talk to your daughter like this? Do you talk to your mother like this? And they had pictures of that guy with his daughter, his mother, and his wife. And I wonder what it was like when he got home. How many people were outside of his house?
Well, what's crazy though? The guy that started it all, or I should say that filmed it all, he's no saint either. And I don't even want to get, like, who cares about the GoFundMe stuff? Because people are going, there's a GoFundMe page. Okay, whatever. I mean, he's cheap. Okay, but that's not a crime to whatever. But he said, like, homophobic stuff. He said all kinds of stuff online before. So be careful if you live in a glass house, because everybody's house could come down pretty quickly. My whole deal with that is, though, everyone should just mind their own business.
I agree.
Just shut the fuck up. I mean, exactly. Like, if you want to get into it with someone, you know what you're doing. In Philly, you don't have to like turn, I'm going to film it now and etc. Like the Eagle fan's a jackass. The Packer fan, you could tell he's provoking it. And he's, low, and then after, let's ruin this guy's life after. I mean, what are we doing here? You're all losers, in my opinion.
I got you.
Like, I won't blame the girl, but anyways, I want to bring that up. But
exactly.
Well, listen, but give me the Rams. I'm going to tell you something. Give me the Rams in this game, and I think they lose a close one. I think Philadelphia is going to survive a scare in this football game. In this game, I think this one could be the under. Actually, this one's a smash. Guys, the Rams have given up 10 points or less in 4 straight games.
Yep.
Throw out the game they didn't try against Seattle, the last game.
Yeah.
4 straight games, even up 10 points or less. Since the bye week, the Eagles have given up 15 points or less. Like, you got 2 smash mouth defenses here, and I understand you're leaning on Philadelphia, Pete, and this is the exact same game as the Kansas City one. I mean, it could turn ugly for the Rams. And as crazy as it sounds, because Stafford's a vet and he's been around forever, but he is the one guy that, to me, he's the concern. I think the Rams defense will be fine. Nakua is going to be fine, etc. Like, I think they're players. Stafford's like all or nothing. You could tell, like, on the first pass of the game the other day with Stafford, like, right away, I was like, Minnesota are in trouble.
Yep.
Like, Stafford just threw a freaking bullet, like, to start the game, right over the middle of the field.
I felt the exact same way.
It was like, oh, boy, Stafford's dialed in here. Because Stafford is actually, I was talking about jumping on the Commanders early. The Rams are generally slow starters in games. Stafford, like, usually takes 2-3 drives to get going. The offense just sort of takes a little while to get going with the Rams. Last week it didn't. They can't afford to be slow here against Philadelphia. So they're going to need Stafford to play well again. But I think they can. I think they can.
I'll be teasing it. It'll be Philly as a pick and over 38. I think I like that.
That's the most popular teaser in the world. The most popular teaser this weekend is going to be the either the KC Detroit banger and or the Detroit and the Detroit and Philadelphia banger.
Now
we know all these public parlays and teasers. So what happens to those?
Now let's get to what could be the game of the year. Certainly, it seems. I hope and I think it will live up to expectations. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of Baltimore being a 1-point favorite at Buffalo, kickoff temperature about 18 degrees. We know it's going to be less. It'll feel like 0 with the wind and all that stuff. What is your day like on Sunday? Do you have to work, or what is the sports rage process? Would you rather play this game early, or are you going to have to wait till 6:30 on Sunday, the last game? What's your day going to be like on Sunday before we get into it?
No, I would rather actually that it would be like first. I'm not a fan of the fact that I got to wait it out. That's the last game, and I've tried, and I am a hardcore fan.
Yes.
Still, so I still have the kid in me about the Buffalo Bills, and I've tried not to think about the game too much this week, even though we've talked about it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, because I know I'm going to be all fired up on Sunday morning, etc. So I don't need to be nervous about it all week. But it's, this is as big as it gets. I mean, this is such a cool football game. If you're not a Bills and a Ravens fan, I mean, it's a treat to kick back, so you don't have to worry about the nerves. I do find it curious that the Ravens are favored by 1 point. Because, listen, I mean, everyone knows this at bets. They used to add 3 points, essentially, to a home field advantage. They don't now. Now it's kind of like 1.5, 1.6. Home field doesn't mean as much as it used to. The Buffalo Bills are 9-0 at home. Like, they haven't lost a game at home this year, the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there's a stadium that there is a home field advantage, this is one of the few ones in the league that there is. The Bills really, really do feed off that crowd, right? Just sort of the energy and the positivity, etc. They really do feed off of it. So you're telling me that the Ravens are 4 points better on a neutral field? I mean, that's what they're telling us, essentially.
They're going by what happened on September 29th because of the 35-10 score and because in that game.
Yeah, but you know what, Pete? That's the people are. You're right. The people are. What did the odds makers do with this game? They made the Bills 1.5 point favorites.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so this wasn't the odds makers that did this. This was the betting public. Mm-hmm. And is the so-called wise guys, I should say, and the pro bettors. And I will tell you, I've had some smart guys on my show this week, big-time guys that I mean, one guy, he sent me his bet slips. He had like $22,000 on Baltimore and he over.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, he's locked in that it'll be rinse and repeat of what happened the first time, that they're not going to be able to stop the punishing attack and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, you want to hang your hat on what? And I've heard a lot of people hang their hat on that football game. You want to dismiss a couple of years ago when they were in the playoffs and they scored 3 points in Buffalo?
Yeah, you can't.
Like, it's the same. It was the same team. Like, oh, well, they have Derrick Henry now. Okay, like, so what? Like, oh, Buffalo. People that are talking like Buffalo are going to be overwhelmed here, and you don't think the Bills know they're underdogs now? You don't think it bothers Josh Allen? He knows he's about to lose the MVP to Lamar Jackson. This is just all a perfect storm, and I'm not naive in the sense that. Listen, Lamar Jackson is tough to tackle in any circumstance. So if it's a slippery, snowy field, it's going to be even tougher. But at the same point in time, if you're Baltimore, have fun stopping Buffalo in their backyard in the snow, because Buffalo are going to score. And between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, if the weather gets really as nasty as some people think, I trust Buffalo more, bro. I know they're from Baltimore and all that, but I think the stars are aligned for the Bills to win a really bad weather football game on Sunday against Baltimore. People bury Baltimore. Lamar can't win a big one, blah, blah, blah. All right, Pete, they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. Good for them. And now suddenly they're unstoppable? Prove it to me. Give me the Bills.
All right. I think it's going to be interesting because what you talked about was very similar back in either 03 or 04 when Indianapolis was favored by a point in New England against the Patriots. And I believe that was the Ty Law, Peyton Manning seeing ghost game with the picks and all over the place and stuff. I mean, it does happen. I agree. If it's snowing, absolutely Buffalo. It's hard to me. The difference with this Braves team, we all know, is Derrick Henry. And I think he took the first play back and whenever they played and ran it for 87-yard touchdown. One game has nothing to do with the other. There've been a lot of rematches in post, even this year, and they don't.
It was early in the year.
Yeah,
it was early in the year. And the Bills. The people also got to realize the Bills were coming off the Houston game when they played that Baltimore game.
Yep.
That was kind of like the Bills' low point of the season. That's point blank. It was.
They lost 23-20 to Houston the week before.
Yeah. They became the first team ever. Like, McDermott was really on the hot seat for real. Like, he wasn't going to get fired, but it was more like he had to apologize to the team type of deal.
Yeah.
That week. If you guys remember, the Bills became whatever. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Remember, the game was tied. The Bills came. They were down. It was tied.
Yeah.
The Bills had the ball on their own 1 yard line with like 30 seconds left.
Yep.
And they threw the ball 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
They were the first team in the history of the NFL to throw the ball from their own goal line with under a minute left that wasn't losing a game. Like, that's how extreme it was. What they did.
Yeah.
And after, he was like, oh, I stand by it. We just didn't execute. We were trying to catch him off guard. It was like, what, catch him off guard 3 times in a row? And finally, like, McDermott was all mad about it on the Sunday. By the Wednesday, he had turned his, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By Wednesday, he was like, yeah, listen, we made a mistake. Like, what do you want me to tell you? And then they got lit up by Baltimore the next week, right? So it was sort of together, you know what I mean?
So you like Buffalo?
Buffalo any over. Buffalo 34-27 Buffalo.
Love that. Love the score. All right. Finally, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Ohio State right now is favored by 8 against Notre Dame at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. To me, the Buckeyes, I know you're a huge Michigan fan. That was the worst thing that could have happened was Ohio State losing to Michigan in that game. They have not been the same since. I said it after the first quarter against Tennessee. Like, this team is going to be very, very tough. I know Golden has a good defensive coordinator. Chip Kelly, though, and Ryan Day, and you can say what you want about Ryan Day, but they, to me, have too much firepower. I'm going with the Buckeyes to win by 10 to 14 points. What say you about this game?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually, you asked, usually I'm on the air every Sunday, but surprisingly enough, I'm not this Sunday. And I usually don't like watching games with people, to be honest. Put it this way, I don't mind in a sports book. You know, in a sports book and like-minded people and you're on your own bubble and big screen. But, I don't do the parties. I don't do the buddies. Let's get together with, you know what I mean? I'm betting in game. It's a job. It's like, it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being stated, there's Buffalo Bill bars everywhere. Bills backers.
Yeah.
So I might go to a bar. There is a Bills backer bar actually that I might go check out. And then this game, I was going to say, I bring it up because I'm actually on Monday night, and I'll be doing a live special in-game broadcast.
Awesome.
For the championship game, and it's kind of torture because I don't like either team, and I'm gonna be on. I'm probably be hungover. I'm gonna be on like watching Ohio State win a national championship. That's where I'm going with this. Listen, Riley Leonard yesterday was talking about how the reason that Ohio State and Notre Dame are in this game is because they're the most religious teams in college football.
Oh, good Lord.
I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about. Like, does anyone think of God when you think of Ryan Day and Ohio State?
Well, first of all, Gabe, I talk about this all the time. Look, I was raised Roman Catholic. I went to Catholic high school by my own choice or whatever. I'm glad I did. But why is God never in the losing locker room? Why? You never hear a player when they lose talk about God. It's only when they win. Oh, it cracks me up. I'd like to thank my Lord.
And what do you think, though, too, if both teams played? God likes you.
Locker room.
God likes you more if you pray more to the other team. But his whole is divine intervention. We're the two teams. I don't mind if he said it about himself, and I'm not mocking anyone's faith.
I'm not either.
But if he, you're talking about Ohio State, I was like, no, you know what, Ryan? I think it's more the $20 million payroll and Caleb Downs and Judkins and the stacked roster than Jesus' work. Well, with all that being stated, I think Notre Dame's going to need touchdown Jesus in this game. Listen, Notre Dame's defense is elite. They're going to battle. They're going to, they'll keep them in the game. I don't think this will be the most, I'm not going to say most exciting game. That's not probably the best term. I'll say I don't think it's going to be the most high scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of just one of these ugly 24-3 or something even. You know what I mean? Like all the talk about Notre Dame, can they stop Ohio State? How's Notre Dame going to score on these guys, bro? It's going to be a real problem for them. So I could just sort of see kind of like the Eagles do. You know what I mean? It don't have to be pretty, but they're just better. They have better players. They have more of them. And they're going to have, it's hard to use the Michigan recipe and beat Ohio State. Like, it's hard for Ohio State to lose to two teams that can't score twice in the same year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, Michigan got them, but if you're going to beat them, you better be able to score. And look at Texas couldn't, right? And I think Texas offense better than Notre Dame's is. And we saw they couldn't get past, they should have gotten the 21 and said they didn't. But yeah, like you said, Pete. And as a Michigan fan, I'll take solace of knowing that it will bother the fuck out of them still that we beat them.
I know.
Like, they'll win the championship and Day will be thinking, I better beat Michigan next year. Because if he doesn't, you'll be in the same damn boat. It's just funny to me. So whatever, go and win. And it makes the Big Ten look good, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Getting back to religious stuff for Ohio State people, I'm trying to think. God pointing his finger at Woody Hayes. How about Urban Meyer? Yeah, there's a godlike figure. There's a god. Where's where religion?
Well, yeah, you want to get into it.
We're beaming, with pride and dignity. The Urban Meyer years, and those are fantastic.
Well, if you really want to, Woody Hayes punched a kid, so I don't know what they're talking about.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ridiculousness of these people now have Ohio State as divine. Did they think that way with Woody Hayes and Urban Meyer? Is my point. I'm being facetious, where is all this divine inspiration when those guys were coaching? I don't think there was much.
Although I will say, and it goes to show the difference of the institutions actually, that Urban Meyer at Ohio State wasn't anywhere near the Urban Meyer at Florida. You know what I mean?
Agreed with that. I mean,
the worst thing that they had was Terrell Pryor getting free tattoos, or Morris Claret was drunk in a practice or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? So just goes to show, no offense to the Gators, any Gator fans tuning in, but I guess they didn't those in Florida, right?
All right, Gabe, you're the best. Thanks so much, and we'll talk again soon. Have a great weekend. We'll be watching on your show. You on tonight with Terry again on Sports Grid?
Yeah, we're going to be on tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern. A lot of stuff to hit tonight, including big UFC 311, Australian Open. We hit it all. We're ready to rock.
Sounds good. All right, Gabe. Sports Rage, thank you so much. All the best.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, Angel, running late as usual. Sorry for the delay. I know Martinez and Company is coming up next, so I will make it short and sweet. Thanks to all the guests today. Well, first of all, thanks to Angel Martinez. Thanks to Gabe Morency, John Meter-Perrell, Mick Colaggio, Trevor Harris. Andrew, you're coming up next, right?
Yep. Sure am.
All right. Hopefully Facebook won't ban you for a little bit. But lots of other outlets. All right, I'll be back. I will be back now. I'm assuming everybody's going to take the day off on Monday. I'm thinking maybe Jay and I come on for about an hour just to recap everything and preview the national championship game. But what say you about what's going on Monday? Is the network taking the day off for the most part?
Oh, that's right. It's a national holiday.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will inform those on the socials come Monday.
All right. I'll probably be on for about an hour and a half on Monday just to recap the playoff action and get a little bit of preview with Jay for Notre Dame and Ohio State if he's around. All right. So have a great and safe weekend, everybody. Enjoy your football. Angel Martinez and company up next here on the Coastal Sports Network.